Good. I'll just start with a short land acknowledgement, acknowledge Indigenous peoples and ancestors whose lands we now share. And I'd just like to take, just give a quick moment of silence for former Councillor Dale Vanmark, who passed away a couple of days ago. So we'll just observe just a half a minute of silence in his honor. Thanks. Yeah, Gail served a couple terms on the council in the county of Little Lake. So, agenda, we have several additions to the agenda. 2.0. Any further additions?
Yeah, I'd like to set a date for a meeting in Weberville. We briefly the last council meeting.
I guess we put that under 6.1.1 item G. Town hall meeting.
Fine.
Mhm. Oh, I've got two agendas going here. My other one doesn't have. Anything else?
I also had a local body under 23 point for encounter. Numbers got it on the screen there, but for anyone else?
So it's already on there, you said?
Yeah, she's got it on her screen, but
Oh,
we'll have to add it.
so item D, mental health task force.
And we've all got one, we have also got one just legal.
Okay. Mental health task force, item D. Item E will be, just, let's call it legal.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, and move adoption with the additions.
Okay, call. Acknowledge, to accept the agenda with the additions, all in favor? Gary, Brenda, I'll just call you all in favor unless you, want to speak.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks. 3.0, adoption of the minutes from our previous meeting on April 22nd. Any discussion arising from them? Any errors? Seeing none, get a motion to Councillor Alabisky moves to accept, acknowledge receipt of the minutes and accept them. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, we can move down to 4.0. Delegations, we have 3. Third one, item C was an addition, and we're gonna move it to the top. So, Brett Davidic, you want to come up to the delegation table here, please? So Brent, I don't know if you know all the councils, we'll just introduce ourselves to you quickly. I'll start on my far left.
Kaylin, trying to represent one of the Lucknow area, Ward 2.
Harry Days, Weberville area.
Are you getting your start making point Ward 5?
Hey, Brent.
I've got us sticking on the CI. Good morning.
Tracy Tucker, executive assistant. Now, Whiskey King River Carpenter, Ward 7.
Brent Reese, Devon, Sunny Valley.
And Brent is a ratepayer, lives in my ward up in Hotchkiss, so we had some concerns about dust control. If you wouldn't mind just sharing what you have in mind.
Okay, well, as you know, Terry, from a phone call that I give you or whatever, and also Charles, I think knows lots about it over the last couple of years. Township Road 934 from the mill going west. There's 4 residents along that road. And 4 or 5 years ago, they started hauling sawdust from the mill down to Clay Mosier's pasture and stockpiling it there. And basically, they've done very little dust control over the last 4 or 5 years. You phone them and you ask them to do something about it. The first time I phoned M&H, they told me that they pay taxes so they don't have to do it. That was the response I got. I don't feel that we should have to look after our own dust control when these are the trucks that are doing it. The rest is all local traffic that comes and goes maybe once or twice a day. But these guys are hauling 10, 15 loads a day, sometimes from the mill to the stockpile, and also from the stockpile back to Grand Prairie or whatever. And we just need to know what's going on and why we can't get them to at least water the road. We shouldn't have to phone them every time to raise trouble, or phone you guys and raise trouble to get them to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And my understanding is they have a road use agreement with you, with the county. I don't know if it's with M&H, the trucking company, or if it's with Diversified. I have no idea. That would be one thing I would like to know. Because when we first started complaining about it, we phoned the mill, and the mill said, that's not our problem. That's M&H's problem. So then we phone M&H. No, we pay taxes, so we don't have to do nothing. And then I got lied to last year. They said, oh, well, we made arrangements to put calcium in front of all your places. So I phoned Charles, see if that was on the list, and that there wasn't. It was just bullshit.
This was last year.
This was last year. I think Charles can verify that.
I remember we talked last year.
Yeah.
Can't remember if it was low calcium or not, but dust control went down.
So within this agreement, I understand that they're supposed to look after maintenance and dust control, correct?
Yeah, so I'm gonna let, if Charles, if you don't mind speaking to this, and just see if there's a road use agreement
Yeah.
it's with and what the conditions are.
So we are entering into a road use agreement with them. They did expire. However, he's been fairly responsive to getting into a current one. He has informed us that he's going to use trailblazers to do dust control, as well as maintain if need be. He is also, and I contacted Trailblazers, they confirmed that arrangement.
Who's Trailblazers?
Playboy.
Okay.
So the other thing too, like they're hauling from that stockpile site to BC, and he's told us he's days a week. And I know this morning I actually seen a couple of their trucks headed south, but
Well,
Yeah.
that's a lie, because it's more than a couple of days a week. It might be a couple of days a week average, but there's days there where there's 5 or 6 trucks going back and forth from the mill to that stockpile, or from the stockpile to,
yeah, I think he's talking about hauling to BC.
yeah,
Is what
so it gets
So
pretty dusty.
just to clarify then, so current road use agreement expired, but it's being renewed as we speak.
Correct.
And part of the conditions with that will be to
Dust
maintain
control.
it and do dust control.
Yeah.
And what's the consequences if they don't do that? I mean, then they lose the road use agreement then?
We can pull the road use agreement. That's about the only thing we can do. And because there is no enforcement for this, that's part of the issue. So I mean, he's been fairly receptive. I mean, I think on Friday they went and they sprayed the road.
They didn't do nothing.
Um,
So I'm just telling you, it's all bullshit, whatever he tells you.
No, and that's, yeah, like. We could verify with our road supervisor as well, what's going on out there. But
Well, the problem is that there's nobody really monitoring it, right? Other than us.
yeah, and I mean,
So I mean, what repercussions are we gonna do? Block the road? If they don't water it?
well, we can't do that.
Well, it's gonna come to that if it isn't something done about it.
That's, it being a public road, that's, yeah. It needs to remain open.
I mean, most of these dust complaints are usually complaint driven, right? I mean, we don't have anybody going around, we don't have a dust patrol going.
No, I know, I realize
So
that,
they
Terry.
are complaint driven, so I guess if you guys are the ones monitoring it, feel free to reach out, and Charles can even give you a direct line. Let him or Mike know, and somebody can vote, you know, I mean, if they have time, they got a lot of road to look after, but they got time, they can go say, yeah, you're right, they're hauling and they're not complying to the conditions. So that would be my suggestion, right? I mean, I don't think Charles has the staff to have somebody out there continually checking, but they should be I mean, it's a simple solution for them, right, is to water the down road and,
Well, there's another solution too, but why they don't do it, I don't know.
it's calcium.
No, but well, that's another solution, but there's a log road that they use in the wintertime that goes right through there, doesn't affect anybody, comes right out of the mill, goes across 2/4 and 3/4 or whatever, and back to where their pit is, where their stockpile.
That's actually a winter road.
Well, whatever, but it's still a road.
But only a good dry condition road, right?
Right, a dry condition road, so if they use that when it was dry, and I have no problem with it when it's raining or whatever, there is no dust, right?
Well, I mean, that's something they'd have to take up with West Fraser, I guess.
Right, but I'd made that suggestion here 3 or 4 years ago and nothing happened, so.
So, council, have any questions? Madam?
So, in the dust agreement, so is it a contingent upon how many trucks? Or, you know, how exactly was it worded in the last meeting?
So,
What point? would
so
trigger that?
we have 3 different agreements, they fall under forestry. Forestry doesn't have a load requirement. The only one that has a load requirement is Sunny Diamond. So for forestry, it's provide dust control, road grading as needed. There's a couple other little things in this.
So they interpret when dust control is required.
Yes, basically, yeah. It's up to the hauler. And I mean, if we get a complaint, we reach out to them as we did on Friday. And it's about the best we can do. We've got a lot of road to monitor and not easy to monitor that amount of road.
I mean, there's a lot of sources of dust, right? I mean, agriculture, I mean, they're not continuous like the sawdust haul is, but I mean, at times they are during harvest, during seeding, during cattle hauling. But it's kind of a different set of rules for agriculture than it is. for
Yeah, well,
industrial.
there is no.
There is no rules, right? So, but, yeah, it's a problem all over. I mean, we have lots of people with dust complaints and generated by different sources, so. But anyway, I think Charles has explained quite well to you that, agreement is being written up, and we'll have to make sure that they abide by the conditions of the agreement. That's all we can do for now.
Well, when you finalize your agreement, could you be kind enough to give me a call and tell me what's in there so that I know what I'm talking about?
I can give you a blank forestry agreement, I can't give you their agreement.
Well, whatever, but what, you can tell me what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, well, thanks, Brent.
and if that doesn't happen, then I'll be phoning you. And probably 5 or 6 other people. Okay,
Well, our office is always willing to take the call.
yeah, well, hopefully you get something done about it.
Okay, thanks, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Brent.
You know how women are when there's dust in the house.
Okay, our next 2 delegations are gonna be later on this morning, so we're gonna count down to 5.0. Item A, our general safety policy. More modernization of the policies, this is.
Oh, sorry, that is me. No. So this, as you guys know, we've hired a safety coordinator / project coordinator. He's been working extremely hard and has developed our SMS, our safety management system. Within that SMS, within legislation, we need to have a general safety policy that council and senior management not necessarily agrees to, but it outlines what we expect from our contractors, our staff, as well as management. So this is just a refresh on that safety policy. We have policies within that SMS, but those only need to be signed off on by administration, so our wonderful CAO will get a nice hand cramp after signing off all of these policies. But yeah, just here for council to discuss and accept it. That's a good way.
We're trying to find your draft.
Page 23 on the regular agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the wording, like under workers will, contractors will, all that is the legislative requirement for OH&S, so. It's pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot to her, it's just for council to acknowledge it, we value safety.
I'll move to accept this.
Okay, Councillor Reese makes a motion that we go receive the general safety policy and adopt as presented. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, council.
So the proposed by law 199 the after the public hearing. So that could take us right down to 6.1.1. Item A is the Colorado Foundation and Manning Elementary School Enhancement Society sponsorship request.
Yeah, I guess I signed it for here, or you can speak to whatever he wants to, I guess, this meeting, but not much to say. They're hosting a golf tournament here at the end of the month. There's a fundraiser for the new playground that they're trying to do outside of what's covered through their funding through the province, so they are looking for you guys to make a contribution into that in some fashion. It will be their second goal, I believe.
I'll make the motion to sponsor $1,000.
Councilor Galvesky has made a motion that we donate $1,000. They said they think it would get much. Any discussion? This will come out of council grants, obviously.
Yeah, and it's noted on the next report, but you got $35,000-ish left in there, so.
We'll be in the middle of May.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any further discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Brenda?
Yes, I'm in favor.
Thank you, that's carried. Item B is the support of National Indigenous Peoples' Day celebration.
Yeah, so basically repeat my comments, except the golf tournament, this one is for the events that they usually hold, I believe, at the old hospital grounds in town. We've contributed to this in the past for the past number of years, so here once again for you to consider.
Also, the last 2 years, we gave them $500 in 23 and then 24. So Beckman has made a motion to acknowledge receipt of the request from the MNAA local council and donate $500. Any discussion? All in favor? Brenda?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, item
Who made,
C.
sorry, who made the motion? I didn't hear.
I
Oh.
made the motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, comment on the initial project description for the Peace River Nuclear Power Project. As you recall, email was circulated for comments, and the administration was going to try to summarize the comments, which they've done. And they said the deadline is May the 14th to submit, which is tomorrow. I don't know how hard that deadline is, but I guess if we, approve these comments, we have lots of time to get that in yet.
There is two drafts there, just kind of tried to tie some of the pros and cons of a project of that nature to your strategic plan as well. So just one was a little more tightly weaved that than the other. Other than that, they're quite similar. Really trying to pull comments from everybody and put them together, so we tried to keep it brief. It is intended to be a fairly informal comment, is my understanding on that comment registry through the IAC website. So hopefully that's okay format wise.
I haven't gone on recently, but did they pull down that other one that we reported?
There's a couple, and I think they've just changed the author
They just kind of flag
of
them.
the one, yeah. Well, I had flagged the first one as not by us, and I think they actually just modified the author, if I remember correctly.
I
Yeah,
didn't quick
been on it.
scroll through, but there's quite a few comments on. Just to follow up with that.
Yeah.
And we had our East Regional Energy Committee meeting last week. And the committee is also submitting comments collectively as 5 municipalities, so I mean, very similar to this. Just seen the draft this morning, or last night, I guess I seen the draft that was prepared, and I can share it with council once it's approved to be submitted. Okay, well, if this looks okay, we just need a motion to,
Which one? Yeah, there's two drafts, so
Oh.
just pick one or two.
well,
I'll make the motion to submit draft number 1.
Thanks, Brenda. Councillor Zinsky has moved administration to submit council's comments as expressed in option number 1 to the IAC. All in favor?
Before we move on, this, I'd just like to say that this process, I've talked to the public, there's most people in this area are not even aware that this process is ongoing. And I think, you know, considering the significance of this, there should have been more of an effort. Now, I guess it's federal initiative, but again, there's a very low awareness of this process, what's going on. I think it could have been a lot better. It was a very short window of opportunity, and given the fact that, you know, this project is a long-term thing, I don't know why this process was rushed as it was. People should have had more opportunity to participate, in my opinion.
Well, and I agree. I mean, if you said it was their initiative, we shared it on our social media website and had a poster hanging in the lobby. I think so we tried to, and the other municipalities did the same to try and share the word, but how many people actually see that? Probably not many. But if you attended the webinars that IAC hosted, they said that this isn't the last of it, right? This isn't your one-time opportunity. From this, they're going to kind of gather information to make more directives that will come out in June probably, and then they'll start having more comment periods after that. So this is a one-time only opportunity, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I guess maybe they don't realize the demographics here, the geography, northern Alberta, a little bit different maybe in southwest Ontario.
I just want to say it was also in like the local newspaper that everyone gets, so I don't know what else we could do to share the information, but yeah, I agree, like I was gonna mention too, that this is only the very beginning and of a very long process, so I feel there will be more opportunity coming up.
And, you know, another comment is that, given that the proponent does not have a product build, I feel that this process should not even been started, you know. It, you know, gives the impression that there's some inevitability to this when there really isn't. If you look at what happened last time, came to nothing. So if you were to apply for say you were to apply for a project to build a gas powered generator in Alberta, you would have to have all your information submitted, including what you were going to use, all the technology, all these things would have to exist before they would even process, process it to begin the public consultation. So I think they've gone way ahead with what's actually out there. In my opinion. Anyway, I'm not happy with the process.
Any other comments? Okay, so I'll call for the vote on Councillor Sinski's motion now. All in favor? It's carried. Now, we'll get through another item. We'll take a quick break. Item D, letter of concern addressed to council. I'll have a chance to have a look at that. Any comments on it? I mean, haven't seemed to be all over the place, like.
Well, there's generally mistrust with this industry and I think we could do more to reach out and we scheduled a meeting for Weberville, which is great. But I think we should also do one in Manning because people, it's a barrier for a lot of people to, especially elderly folks to move, it's an hour away. I think we have in Manning would maybe help to alleviate some concerns. There's a perception that we're not talking to people, that we can council to make a decision or moving ahead and not having public participation in this, and that people's concerns are not being heard. That's perception. And I think we can alleviate that by having some public outreach sessions. Again, you can schedule one in Weberville, that's great. We should also do one in Manning, in my opinion.
That'll give the people from my end a chance to come here if they want to. For a meeting, for a public. Go all the way to Weberville, I don't know, I think it would be good to have one in that one too.
Yeah, I mean, we're not hiding behind anything, so we can have as many meetings whenever, where. I just thought Weberville would be a good location to start with, because that's in the region where the proposed site is, right? I mean, it's still proposed, right? There's one on both sides of the river, so we'll start there and gauge how that goes, and we can set up more. We can have one in the Big River, we can have one in Manning, we can have one in, and maybe some of the other municipalities will be doing the same. I think, in fact, if I remember right, at the last meeting, they talked about doing the same in Peace River, and I said, well, you guys could be the guinea pigs. You have one, see how the format goes and how you hold it. And so I think there'll be lots of chance for, because I think there is, you're right, Brent. I mean, there's a perception. If you didn't, a lot of times you jump from step 1 to step 10 and you forget about all the steps in between that people aren't aware of, that we maybe have information. We met with Energy Alberta, we met with IAC, we met with some of these people that give us a lot of information. A lot of people don't have that in between information, and I think it would be very helpful for them to know that, right? And see where the municipality, what our position is on this, which is really, we're not a decision-making and approval agency. We do represent our ratepayers, but so yeah, we can respond to this letter, I guess, and just say thanks to the letter, and I think we plan on having some information at open houses, and hope we can bring those. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Maybe we can also ask in this response. I see there's it's Karen, so that she's got lots of questions. Maybe she can give us a question so we can start getting the answers from Energy Alberta for that. You start off with, because I don't know what the questions are that she's referring to.
Mm-hmm.
At the open house, there was an opportunity to speak to all the various, let's call it stations, and I don't know if she ever met with them over there, or if she said she attended it. But maybe if we could get a list of the questions, we could reach out and and get them answered more clearly than we can as a council.
Yeah, direct them to Energy Alberta or to IAC, who are the regulators and the proponents. Yeah, because I had a call just this week too from somebody and, asking me about nuclear waste and asking me about water. I said, well, those aren't matters that we deal with, right? We talk to the proponent or talk to the regulators, so they can answer those questions. Okay, so. We see letter of concern reply writing to resident. That we will be holding, that the CNL will be holding an open house. Put S in brackets behind it.
I just have a quick question. Is this person, is she part of your, live in your ward, Brent, or what ward does she live in?
She actually lives in Manning.
Town of Manning. Oh, okay.
But she does.
Yeah, I agree, like I think it is important to have, these open houses throughout the municipalities, all of them, Grimshaw, Northern Sunrise, on and on.
Well, we put in here that we will have everyone, over the, excuse me, over the summer, at least one in Manning.
Well, we'll just put throughout the county, right?
We should have a timeline on.
Just within the county. Within the next few months. Yeah. Any further comments? Brenda, you can't see the screen
Yeah, I have my agenda open here.
yet? Yeah, just to see the motions, but that's fine, it's just.
Oh, the motions,
Acknowledge receipt of the letter of concern and reply in writing to the resident that the county will be hosting open houses within the county over the next 3 months. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Item E is a Peace Playland Association funding request. Funding day. So who wants to speak to this one? Anybody?
No, there's, so I mean, the request is here for you. We do have a member of the Playland Society online if there's any questions. Just to highlight, they've got an application in for CCAP as well, which is separate. Specifically here, they're looking for some operational support, which is why it's coming to council directly. I trust you've all read through the application, so I don't think I need to just rip through it for you, but take a minute to scan it, see if there's any questions. We do have Megan online. I believe she's still here. Just to address anything.
Yeah,
My question is this a not-for-profit?
They are a nonprofit society, yeah.
Megan, are you there?
Yeah.
Did you have any comments you want to put to your picture application funding?
We just appreciate any help we can get. It's the whole board is run by moms and 2 of them are pregnant and I just had a baby 3 months ago. And in order to get funding, like last year we did 19 fundraisers, which is a lot. And this year we're looking at even doing more just to try and reduce any kind of deficit we have. So like I said, any support is appreciated. We asked for 4 months simply because those are kind of our slow months. And I think online it said I had to ask for at least 10 grand, but we definitely don't expect that, so.
Yeah.
For how many people, how many kids are attending this during the summer period?
Uh, during the summer, it's a lot lower, but I know kind of annually it was about 4,000 families. And it kind of, we stretch all over. We've had some from Manning, Fairview, like Cadott, and heading south to Falaire. Like we have families from all over who come. I think we're kind of the only thing like this, other than the Family Resource Network, kind of north of GP. And we're a bit different because we have more climbing structures and I don't know. It's better than the Family Resource Network without putting anything against them. I think we're a lot more community oriented and just better support for kind of new moms and families there.
And just a follow-up question, if I may, have you guys reached out to some of the other municipalities also for funding?
Yeah, we talked to the town of Grimshaw last year and Northern Sunrise. And then, I mean, again, this year we'll Northern Sunrise, Grimshaw, MD of Peace. The town of Peace River, I guess I was at their council meeting in I think the beginning of March, maybe, I can't remember, recently anyways. So we are planning to reach out to all the local municipalities.
So this is one we got supported before.
And they haven't got CCAT funding from us.
Have they applied for CCAP before?
They're on our list
They're
for
on this.
13,000 for this
Yeah,
year.
for this year, I know they are, but.
But it says at the bottom that they've never applied to us before for CCAT.
This would qualify for Recwood funding, right?
Not typically, that's geared towards more event specific, this is ongoing operational stuff.
No, no. Not saying we have to follow the other municipalities, but I see Sunrise has contributed 2,500. 2,000 and Grimshaw 1,500, so. We could put ourselves somewhere in that range, maybe $1,000 or something.
Yeah, we could go.
Up the council,
I'd be okay with 1,000 and I'll put it on that CCAT.
so that's your motion.
I can move that motion, yeah.
Okay. Councillor Shug has moved to Gallagher C to the Peace Playland Association request for funding and donate $1,000.
I just have a question.
Council grants, yep, any discussion?
Trying to figure out where is it located at. Like, that seems like-
So Megan, whereabouts are you located? Where's your physical location?
Like Peace Playland.
Yes,
We're in Peace River, and if you know where Java Domain is and the dollar store there. We're in that building, it's downtown.
Across from the mall.
Yeah, I know where it is.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Any other questions, discussion? Call for the vote, all in favor? Brenda?
Yes.
$1,000,
Yeah, I'm in favor.
okay, that's carried. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break. Let's get through, yep, so.
You have a couple.
sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yep, Brenda, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we're gonna get going again. We'll move down to 6.1.1, item F. Alberta Rural Health Week proclamation. This is kind of a reoccurring thing that they have Rural Health Week every year in late May. So, I don't know what committees in Grimshaw and Peace River are doing, but in Manning, our committee, we're going to put up a banner at the hospital entrance like we do every year, big banner, Rural Health Week, and then getting a sandwich board made to put down at the lodge. So, just thanking the healthcare workers in the community. I don't think we're doing anything else recently. We were giving out cookies or fruit baskets or anything this year. So anyway, we just need a motion to declare May 26th to 30th, Alberta Rural Health Week in the County Northern Lights. I can do that. Okay, Councillor Hughes makes that motion. Any further discussion?
We're at Peace River, we're gonna have a barbecue for the staff
Oh, nice.
and,
At the hospital? Or
yeah, we've had that for the last couple of years and we're gonna do it again this year. It's went over really well.
Yep.
Have lunch there and so. Maybe 21st.
Brenda's, Grimshaw got anything planned?
We don't have anything planned as of yet. Our meeting is coming up here next week, so probably do something similar to last year where we just took goodies around.
And putting up a sandwich board at the lodge. We just found that in Manning that the cookies and the fruit baskets are nice, but lots of the staff are on days off and they don't even, probably not even aware it came there. It might be a card sitting on a nurse's station or something, but so
Right.
always looking for ideas.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come up with something. All in favor? That's good. Item G was the addition. No, I got through this agenda always.
Yeah, this is G.
Yeah, so item G is a Peace River tradition. Pardon me?
Okay.
Yeah, Alberta tradition, powwow. That was an addition, so. What's over here? So that is on June 7th and 8th. So Brenda, you've attended this before, I think?
Yes, I'm on the committee and then, so I'll be there Saturday for sure.
Okay, so you could bring greetings to the council if they want that, or
Sure, yeah. Yeah, unless someone else wanted to, I'm fine, but I'm gonna be there anyway, so.
it makes perfect sense then, so we get a motion to acknowledge receipt of the invitation and send Deputy Reeve Terry for a brief welcoming on June the 7th. Councillor Halavisky makes that motion.
So 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, they got two times on Saturday, Brenda. I'm not sure. I guess you're on a committee. You'll figure out when.
Yeah,
ceremony-
I'll go at the 1 o'clock.
Okay.
You just need to go at one time.
Oh, for tomorrow. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next edition, item G. Is Regional Hospital Foundation, or GP Regional Hospital Foundation. Having an event on May 29th. Nice to invite us, but I don't know that necessary for us to attend.
Yeah, I'm okay to make a motion to accept it for information unless we feel the need to go to Grand Prix to do that. I think we're okay to not.
Okay, Councillor Sutton moves to know receipt of the invitation and accept for information. All in favor? Carried. Next edition, I'm going to ask if we can come up with a date for our first town hall meeting. Assuming this would be an evening meeting, accommodate people. I guess we should maybe check the availability of the hall, how busy the hall is. It's not terribly busy. I'll be pretty flexible on dates, so if you're evening meeting.
At these meetings, would we try to have Energy Alberta there
No.
or not?
No.
Like,
No, this is not their meeting, this is, I think this is, I mean, we could, I think we should have somebody there to help, kind of moderate and just kind of opening and stuff, but, not them for sure.
answers to everything that.
But that's, I mean, we direct those questions to them, right? We don't have to be in the room. So we're looking at like a 7 o'clock start time, schedule for an hour. What did you have in mind, Brent?
Yeah, so way to format of a brief period, typically we do those around that.
I think we have to, you know, depending on the turnout, I mean, that, we won't have a turnout. I just look at the IAC, they have the webinars, they schedule for an hour, they get a lot of information in an hour, and still have time for some Q&A. And, kind of keep a hard timeline there, so.
Okay, maybe just a suggestion, in our advertising of this event, maybe we could ask them to email questions if there's specific technical questions. At least because we have the opportunity to reach out and get those answers for them so that they don't feel like we're trying to hide stuff and don't have the answers. But clearly, just because we are no nuclear experts, if it's on specifically nuclear technologies and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the questions that I'm hearing are not in our scope, right? I mean, if you talk about water consumption, you talk about nuclear waste, you talk about indigenous consultation, all those things. I think we can very politely direct them to the right people, right? That would have the answers. You know, it's just kind of fabricate an answer that may or not be right. So
Reeve, if I may, before you guys worry about scheduling, we may want to hammer out what exactly we're doing.
Exactly, yes.
And I'm just coming off of, it's probably not gonna be my problem to plan this and coordinate it anymore, so that's great, but as of right now, I have no idea what this even is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how in the world we would advertise it to people. We can call it an open house and that's fine, but then we're talking about having a moderator, now we're talking about having questions submitted,
It's
so.
town hall, we listed it as town hall, which I think is.
Yeah, and that's fine, but even an agenda or a structure.
Well,
of
we'll
what
need
you guys
agenda,
are looking for.
we'll need information that we're supplying, for sure, an agenda to talk about different aspects of how it relates to counties. The reality is, the counties may stand on this, we're fully supporting the project, and people have a lot of questions around it. Some of them technical, some we won't be able to answer, but we have to discuss our role in this and, how we move forward. So people just want to be heard, like, it's not just us broadcasting information, it's about hearing people's concerns. Because again, the decision has been made, meetings are ongoing, just not with our residents. They want to be heard, they want to hear what we're doing.
But do you think it's relevant then to have a presentation at the onset to outline or clarify exactly what the process is and where we are at in the process?
Yes, for sure.
And who is doing that?
And we can discuss the roles of various levels of government in this and how we fit in. Right? It doesn't have to be very complex.
but yeah, good question, like, who does a presentation, right? Who puts it together, who presents it? So and I'll just, Gerard and I went to that meeting in Falero and Birch Hills Smoky River and Northern Sunrise had a town hall, I guess we'll call it, with Nucleon, I think that's the name of the company. So they had a guy there that kind of, well, their Reeve of Smoky River kind of introduced everybody, and then he sat down, and then they had a guy come up there and did a little PowerPoint about the history of nuclear power generation, right, kind of globally, not specifically to the SMR and Birch Hills or anything, but, and then they did have people from Nucleon got up and spoke. Who else they had? That was probably it.
Did
And then-
anybody ask questions?
And then they had a Q&A after that, right? And, so I mean, I'm not saying we want to model it exactly like that, but that's kind of how they had their, and they had just a little 5-item agenda page there, welcome, introductions. This guy give his presentation, Nucleon, and Q&A, and that was it. So not a real heavy detailed agenda, but, you gotta have something, you can't just show up there and sit at the front of the hall and, you know.
I just worry about not having that plan in place before we schedule and then having to advertise and then getting questions. It's just gonna make us look silly if we don't have the answer to some of that stuff.
And I think should generally be addressing the roles of various governments in the process and how we fit in, right?
And that's,
And again, the technical stuff, well, we can, it's not our.
and I think you're absolutely right, because that is one of the big perceptions, misinformation I see is people's not understanding of the roles of the different levels of government, right? There's still people think that the county of Northern Lights is building a nuclear power plant in the county, and that's far from the truth, right? I mean, and we're regulating it, right? So, I mean, there's multiple federal and provincial agencies, and that's the problem. The province doesn't even have a framework yet, right? Where our committee is trying to push them on that, so you know what, you guys, this project is before I act now, we don't even have a framework within the province, and they're aware of that, right? That they're-
I mean, and that's something we communicate to people is that, you know, here's the government. Province has not even laid out their own, you know, rules and responsibilities in this process. So.
But I mean, the premier did write a mandate letter to 3 ministers, energy, environment, and affordability, utilities and affordability, specifically around potential nuclear power coming to Alberta. And they need to write a rule book on it, right? I mean, Ontario has been doing it for 60 years, so they've got places they can model it after. New Brunswick has it. Saskatchewan is developing theirs, so I mean, they're too busy with a lot of other fights they got going on, right, from independence to tariffs to.
Yeah, Jay, if I may, my concern is linking on to what Josh is saying. I really feel like we're going into this very blind. We are gonna get lots of questions. We're gonna get lots of upset people because we don't have the answers what they expect right there and then. So either we set the agenda very firm to this is about the process and this is the roles of the various levels of government. And if there's any technical questions, we're gonna have to defer you to the proponent because we do not have that.
Right, we can only answer what we have.
I'm no nuclear expert and
Yeah,
my only thing is that I don't want to expect or set an expectation with the public there that they're gonna have all their questions answered. And we're not. That's why I'm asking, let's just, when we advertise it, at least get whether it's an email address or something where we can get probably use the info at County of Northern Lights just so we can get some idea of the questions that the public wants to ask us, so that we can actually prepare for that and not walk into it blind.
In having the open forum or the Q&A though, like we're doing a submission, Rex is doing a submission on the comment, there's gonna be more of these. It is valuable to gain insight on what people's concerns are. So it's not a waste of time to have sign up and just throw out why they hate this project or what they're opposed to, because you're gonna hear what their concerns are. There just needs to be an expectation of, like you guys have said, like, ask away, but we are not going to tell you what happens in the case of a nuclear meltdown. We are not gonna tell you how much water this thing uses. We're not gonna tell you what any of it looks like, because that is not our project, it's not our issue at the end of the day, right?
And we can explain to them, it's the same as we don't control anything that the mill does or CNRL with a pipeline, it's got.
But it's also a good place to outline the IAC's process, because quite frankly, nobody wants to sit through that hour-long presentation probably. It was very riveting, right? But here's why it's important. These are the people who are actually dictating this. This is what they use the comments for. So yes, we've missed the first window. We did tell you in every means we have possible, try phoning everybody that lives here. There will be more rounds, so watch for our pages, check out and follow the page. We have a dedicated page on our website to this. That I've used probably 1,000 times because it's the quickest way to get the IAC's page for it, right?
What's also in the newspaper.
Yeah,
So-
but people don't understand that, and there are so many acronyms in this, I had to learn what they all meant before I went to a single meeting, right? So explain that, and it might help with the public input moving forward from that front, which they are getting better. I see quite a few comments actually on that registry from names that I recognize from residents here, which is good. There's probably at least 10.
And so that's what I said when we talked about Karen's letter before is. I mean, not all of us, but me and Brenda sit on the committee, but all the council is set with. Joint councils and had some discussions, and we've had discussions in council, so. We're not nuclear experts, but we do have a bit more background information, like you talk about acronyms, right? So. Do all these acronyms out, and oh yeah, I know what they're talking about, but probably the average citizen has no idea what's going on, right? So you talk about CNSC and you know, PANAC and all these different places, so this would be a good opportunity to inform people what, you know, how we got here, right? How we started with a regional group of municipalities looking for economic development, all of a sudden this comes along and we kind of shifted to that and, you know, give it time. And so in spite of all that, I think rather than setting a date today, we got one more meeting this month. At the end of the month, that'll give administration a bit of time. And I can work with you too to help get this agenda and find if we think we need a moderator. And secure some dates on the hall, and then we can come back our next meeting. And set the date, and that'll give us still 2 weeks to advertise it. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, so I mean, if we can get it for, you know, early to mid-June, it'd be kind of, I think.
Yeah, I would say probably mid, probably, just to give advertising time, so let's, so just backspace it out of there.
Is that the Weberville meeting or is it more meetings?
You know, Weberville, all focusing on Weberville now, we'll see how that goes, maybe we'll learn from that, but our agenda was out to lunch and we have to modify it, but we did make a motion earlier that we're gonna have more meetings in the county, so this will be our learning one. So have a motion to have administration draft an agenda and put together a presentation. I don't know if that's the right wording. And look at hall availability dates and bring it back to the next meeting, right? Okay, so you want to make that motion? Oh, okay, Councillor Reese,
See what the town hall is going to be about. Just the town hall.
well, it's specifically about the Peace River nuclear project, right? It's not a warning, not a ratepayers meeting where we're gonna talk about roads and, I mean, roads might come up because that's this project, if it does go ahead, it's gonna have an impact on infrastructure, but this is specifically for the nuclear project, right?
Regarding.
We should have a shorter name, Peace River Nuclear Power. It's so long, because it, like, really, it's the Peace River Nuclear Power Project and the county's fault. That's what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, and the municipal role and. Teresa, well, put municipality, because we don't even know where it's gonna be at, right? Municipal.
Lost in what you're saying, sorry, I was trying to be.
Municipal.
Noticeably.
Check available dates. Check.
Can you just read it out before?
We're still fumbling through it here yet, so just hang on. No. Okay, so. Brenda, moved by Councillor Reese to have administration draft an agenda and presentation for a town hall meeting regarding the Peace River Nuclear Power Project and the municipal role and available dates.
And bring it back to council.
And bring back to, council, and obviously next meeting. Okay, Brent?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll read it once more, Brenda. Moved by Councillor Reese to have the administration draft an agenda and presentation for a town hall meeting regarding the Peace River Nuclear Power Project and the municipal role, comma, and available dates, and bring back to council for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Now we move down to finance. 6.155. I don't. April 2025 payment register. Here for your review.
All the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Just feels like so many because you haven't been here in a while. Don't do this.
Okay, Councilor Levesque moves to acknowledge receipt of the April payment register and accept the information. All in favor? Carried. Next is February 25 bank reconciliation.
Oh, look at us go, that's only 2 months old, so. Same thing, here's your option. I actually almost finished April yesterday, so you'll have that on the next meeting.
Councilor Decken has moved to acknowledge receipt of the February bank reconciliation, accept the information. All in favor? Carried. And then we'll move to the March bank reconciliation. Questions out of that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
who is KMSC?
KMSC law. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that's what,
but that's not in you saw that in the bank rec or in the payment register?
I can't remember where I was reading through it, it didn't register with nothing, so that's what I had a question. Then the other was EFT. The settlement.
Oh, EFT settlement, so that's on the bank rec, that's when we pay somebody, we don't always write checks anymore, we pay them by an online banking transfer.
Yeah.
So an EFT settlement is just a whole list of those being paid at once. Right, so that's why when you look at your payment registers here, some of them will have anything that starts with a 4 right now is a check number. And then these other ones that start with RA, remittance advice, those are all one batch of EFT payments.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It just
Yep,
didn't quite make sense.
that is fine. Yeah, and your KMSC, I mean, KMSC law, more of a customer, they pay us more than the bank.
Yeah.
So it's odd.
But
That was probably them paying for tax certificates.
So when you put applied entries, one was, that means for.
Can you say that again, Linda? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Applied entries. Says one. I'm not sure.
Where are you seeing?
Underneath your. Okay, statement. It says date, type, document.
Oh, yeah, that, and then that column.
Yeah.
So it's a bank reconciliation, so we're matching what's recorded in the system to the bank account, so. You'll see one probably on 90% of them, or sometimes multiples. That's just how many entries on one side make up that entry on the bank account.
If you look at the one from March the 31st, it says that it's applied to 34 increase for the 340,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually showing you way more detail than you used to get. That's just their report. And then I believe at the very end, it shows you the outstanding items as well.
Well, I don't see any transfers to a number came in account.
We've got.
Little strip of white out of.
Okay, so did somebody make a motion to acknowledge that March fund?
I
Councillor, Councillor Thies, okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay. The more fun one, item E is a Director of Finance report update.
Thank you for saying it's more fun. Trying to live up to that now. Council grant summary on there, just to keep coming back to you. Obviously, this was before all of your decisions that you made today, so it has changed by $2,500 according to my tally. Other than that, it's been pretty stagnant for the last couple meetings, but just keeping that on there as a standing item until I have time to get you a whole budget report. Any questions about that stuff before we move on? Then just to update, while Gerhard was away, I did sneak out for 2 days. We had Reynolds, Mirth, Richard and Farmer, one of our law firms, hosted a kind of a unique law seminar focused all around employment law. So some interesting things there, specific ones here, some legal language, and run through the importance of all that stuff, supporting mental health in the workplace. The focus on that one is kind of looking at the trends of people using whether valid or invalid, so using and abusing, and just kind of some recent cases of what being supportive and addressing challenges looks like, and all the way to what you as an employer are obligated to do. So a very good session there. And then just a couple other ones, and then of course it closed with ask all the lawyers who showed up, random open questions. I missed a bit of that because we had a few things going haywire here at the office, so I got pulled out and on the phone. But all in all, a good session. Tax and assessment notices, so Terry got to pop into the office and see us all working feverishly in the council chambers here last week. So they are out. It was a riddled process, but we got through it all. We had just a number of things go wrong. So first of all, our system cannot simply handle generating all of these in one file. So we have to split it. It was a hassle and delayed us half a day, but we got it. Then we started printing and our paper was jamming and pulling multiple pages at a time. So there will be complaints this year. There is every year. We're printing like 20,000 pages. So it's a lot. And then we still manually sort them and stick them in envelopes. So people are not perfect. We've already had some returned where same last name, but different family put in the same envelope. Shouldn't be, things like that. We've had duplicates go out because of printing issues. And actually our system this year, they changed, so they could not do our owner summaries. So we've given a few people a heads up, but anybody who owns multiple properties, we used to send out a nice little white page just showing here's everything that's attached and here's your total. Not happy with the answer, but we were told we can't do that for you this year. Now, they could have done it if we would have printed it just randomly in the middle of all of the invoices on the invoice paper. But that was just as much, if not more of a nightmare to try and sort those out and separate all those. So not super happy. We've had complaints already. We will have more. The owner summary thing, we'll get some notifications out. I think we did already in the paper and online. It is what it is. So people are probably going to add them up, make a mistake and be pissed off when they get charged a penalty. They're more than welcome to phone in and confirm their balance. I know I've had a chance to speak with a few large landowners already, and I expressed that to them directly over the phone. When you get to the point of wanting to pay, if you add them all up, maybe just phone us and ask one of us to verify the balance for you. So other than that,
And so this new system, they're gonna rectify that, so next year they should be able to. print
Yeah,
some
and they
page?
promised they were gonna rectify everything else last time, and here we are a year later, so it's. This is a once a year process, so it's hard to test things. At that scale, and then it's hard, like with the printing. That's probably a paper / printer issue. We don't often test printing 10,000 things on a daily basis, so that's always a surprise. But yeah, it should be mitigated for. Next run, and we'll harp on them, don't worry, I meet with these guys less frequently now. But the last few meetings have not been good, and they've had some very superior people of that company listen to me. Explain to them, so.
So, what was the reason we normally there's a summary and total?
Yep.
What was the reason you couldn't do that?
Programming, so historically,
So
that- it's a technical thing, yeah, it's not an us internal.
All right.
Yeah, it's buried in there. They don't have a specific report that can generate that. It was done as part of the process or nothing. And that was not really indicated initially. So it's just one of those things. And then even then, the way that they have it built in makes absolutely no sense at all, because we weren't consulted in the development of that process, which happens. Then we get to voice our concerns and make them change it. They listen to us very well. It just takes time for them to make these changes in so much time that it's just not feasible now to make people wait for one without extending a deadline. So I do fully expect we will more than likely have complaints to waive penalties in July this year. Luckily, I'll be fishing and Gerhard will handle it. Payback, yeah. Any questions on that? I mean, if people could, if anybody has concerns, just tell them to phone and speak with the elder, ideally. You could.
I can see that summary annoying people, you know.
Oh, it will.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 20 or 30 quarters of land, right?
Yeah.
Even the receding is, wouldn't it just be in the?
Oh, it's a huge pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt not to
There's
have
a handful of people that actually book an appointment now and come and sit with us and go through and do it because they own so many different pieces of
Because
land.
that's.
And the names are all different, so it's, yeah. I did already have one person go, I added these up, but then I had some duplicates. Can you please just tell me what I owe so I can pay it? And that's fine, right? I, 15 minutes did it, sent him a total. The problem with that is now I've told him. So if I miss something,
Yeah.
he will not be happy, right? Now, I am 100% sure I didn't miss anything, but I'm not always here, right? So we have to be careful in how we do that. I'm just saying it will happen. Guaranteed. So if that wasn't fun enough. Well, we're already yelling at our system providers. Brenda's shaking her head already and I can see her, yeah. So we had a screw up in the hamlet of Dixonville with the water bills. So anybody who's directly connected to the system. This one, quite honestly, I just can't do anything but laugh at it. But this process is automated. So this is not one that I review when we go out because we do readings, we upload the readings, rates are set and they don't ever change and it just applies it. Janelle prints them. If she sees any, like if her batch triples or quadruples, she's gonna know, but we also have leaks all the time. So very hard to catch. But this was really weird. So it's a combination of how something was set up originally, even in our old system and then carried through, and then a bug fix that they did to try and expedite this process. And it created a loop of compounding errors, which we didn't know until somebody from the hamlet caught it and then publicly shamed us on Facebook for screwing up their bill, or maybe we're not sure they screwed it up, so they've probably changed the rates and not told us, because you're all pirates. So that was out there. We didn't, the rates are in the schedule of fees bylaw, so urge people to read and look at things. We're also gonna just start putting it back on the tax notice on the utility bill where we can as a little note. At the end of the day, not a huge dollar thing, but 3 months and about just shy of $2,000. we fixed it. It was a pain in the ass to fix, but we fixed it, and we've not charged penalties to those people impacted. And it has been mitigated going forward. So hopefully they are all happy, Brenda, and hopefully you haven't heard any more complaints.
I just saw what was on Facebook and I thought, well, I hope he phoned the office and not just complaining here.
My biggest problem with this, I had not spoken with her, nor was I even aware of the issue until someone showed me that Facebook post. So I would encourage your residents to maybe phone, it's like, I think they had phoned and spoke with one person here, but. Again, like there is a rank of people to voice concerns before you publicly shame us on Facebook. So I don't think we followed that one all the way through, but it's just my own personal opinion. And it gets printed in the paper.
So $2,000 overcharge amongst 26 accounts?
Yeah,
I mean, surprising somebody.
over 3 months, yeah, it's bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody caught it. There's one person.
But it's like a pretty small amount for
Yeah.
them.
But again, yeah. So look at your bill before you pay it. And ask questions and we'll answer them. We're not trying to hide anything. Trust me, I work for the government. I know, sounds silly, but phone and clarify and ask questions. That's what we do, that we can help with, right? And really, that's gonna help me correct either issues in our process or issues with our system or just other flagrant issues, I guess, if they ever arose, right? But we need to know those and then determine the root cause. So I think the time between her phoning and speaking with the utilities billing clerk initially, and then blasting Facebook was like over a weekend. Which, like, that's not really fair to us because we're not gonna figure that out over the weekend when nobody's here. And oftentimes when these issues happen, we're consulting with the support team from this software provider, so it takes a few days to figure out.
So you're denying it's a conspiracy?
Yeah, actively and openly denying. You know, I'll jump on board with a lot of conspiracies, but not us changing water rates and trying to hose people.
Yeah, as much as advances in technology are great, there's sometimes. abuse.
Well, bugs happen, so what you can do is you just gonna pick a random selection to look at and make sure something's working, but at the end of the day, automation's cool. And if one works, they should all work, right?
You wouldn't want to go back to walking down the each meter at the clipboard and writing numbers. down.
No. Actually, billing based on estimates and then adjusting is a hassle anyway. I don't really wanna do that. So.
Okay. Any questions? Report?
I can,
Make a motion. Okay, Councillor Hughes moves to acknowledge receipt of the Director of Finance report, accept for information, all in favor? Carried, thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Charles, you're up next, 6.1.7A, decision. Request for decision on the Keg River water treatment plant shed.
Yeah, so as council's aware, we're installing a new aeration system in Keg River, for the water treatment plant. That being said, shed needs to go, it's decrepit, it's decaying into the ground, and just as per policy, we just need you guys to declare it a surplus so that we can tear it apart. Throw it away.
I'll make that all.
Okay, Councillor Levesque moves. Acknowledge receipt of the report and declare the aeration shed as surplus and have administration dispose according to policy. All in favor?
Thank you, Allison.
Page 2. 6.2.4 is emergency management logistics. Verbal report by Councillor Shung.
So I figured it was easier, so it is an attachment, I did write up a little blurb on it. So while I was out at the ACPA convention, I've got to meet Scott. He's got this cool little programs for implementation for emergency management. You kind of have to play with it on his computer. So basically it's like a centralized website. So you go on there, click on there, you can get your municipalities, your businesses, kind of just a one-stop shop, makes your emergency management a lot easier. You can sign up for free, make your profile, and then basically when something bad happens, you just click on it and it fans it out to everybody who's registered as your phones, all your DEMs, all your whatever's work together. And we're like, oh, what a cool idea, like especially for like North Peace Housing and all of our societies like that to get together, like as we've seen in Jasper, they have a ton of workshops where they talk about the disconnect and trying to get all their emergency management together in one place. And Scott's a really great guy, so I'd like to see maybe staff reach out and have a conversation, check it out. I think we're gonna make a profile, it expedites the process. It's a pretty slick system, so.
Is it similar to that, the app one, Avoid?
Yes and no. So you go on there basically like, so they haven't got anybody farther north than Fox Creek, like that's kind of where it is, but so you, like, for example, click on the city of, or city, town, whatever they're classified as, of Fox Creek, and then it would be like, okay, these are all the communities that are on board, these are all their DEMs, you click fan out, oh, got a wildfire, click wildfire, and then it just fans it all the way out. A carpool list of all your resources, this guy's got a water pump, this guy's got a fire truck, this guy's got whatever, these are all your contacts, you hit one thing, it shoots the email out to everybody, and then everybody can have all the same information like immediately. It's pretty cool.
Who, like, there's administration costs, like who funds this? Is it a?
So it's free to make your profile, and then I think it was like $500 a year to maintain your subscription, depending on how it all branches out. So, Dan Gobert actually was at the same crime conference, so he brought it to North Peace Housing, and we're like, yeah, like that would be really good, like, because like we said, when we saw it in Jasper, the municipality was on board, but then they were trying to get the residents out and all these other little things that you don't think about when you're in a moment. So it's like one-stop information click really fast.
So who's our director of emergency management? You by default, right? So I mean, I guess I would suggest that you should probably look into this before we make any decisions. I mean, it sounds great, but I mean, I think the director of emergency management should be the one that says this is
Yeah.
fantastic, or this is not really good value to us, or.
And there's also the thing that we as neighbors between us and Manning are doing that together, so I will definitely reach out to April too and see once they do either a presentation or an update, that she also sits in, because we're probably gonna need both councils to agree.
And so I asked Scott about that, and like, you know, we don't have anything up here to really go off of, and he was like, way more than willing, if you just reach out to do either a virtual presentation or come up or whatever, it just, when he was walking me through it, like, I mean, having not all the training that a DEM does or whatever, like, it's like, I'm like, how is this the 21st century? We haven't done something so easy like this, like, it just made sense, right? So I would like to see maybe Gerhard, if you want to reach out to Scott and have a conversation and determine if it's sense to have him give us a presentation or move forward or however that looks.
So there's also, I see you at the bottom, you said, that can be wrong, but anyway, I know we meet this Nail, Northern Alberta.
Oh, yes, right.
They have a meeting upcoming in June 13th, so
And that was Gordon McLeod from the mayor for Fairview. So he sits on North Peace Housing, and he was like, you should really bring that forward to the northern leaders. Sorry,
Right,
I see I screwed up on the acronym.
I'll talk to the chair of Nail and see if they got room on the agenda for the next meeting, and
Yeah,
maybe a quick virtual presentation if he wants to.
Yeah. he thought there'd be lots of value, get everybody, if we're all working the same program or whatever.
Okay, so for now, we'll have, well, it says administration, but basically our DEM will research a program and bring it back. And I mean, you don't have to put it in motion, but I'll talk to the chair of NAIL and see if they want to, any interest in putting it on their next agenda, so.
Yeah, I did give the physical pamphlet and the business card to Gerhard. I did only grab one copy, so I don't know if you wanna
Yeah, I can just.
scan it or photocopy it or whatever for if you need it. but-
Okay.
Can make that motion.
Okay, Councillor Decker will make that motion, all in favor? Carried. Okay, now we can move down to Public Works, 6.3.1, meeting, is Director of Public Works report to start with. Charles.
Yes, so. Public Works Week's coming up, just so everyone's aware, we are doing an open house here at our North Shop. show off some of the equipment, you know, cookies or donuts, juice boxes, etc. Show some of our projects and whatnot that we've done. So council wishes to attend, you're more than welcome. It's 9 AM to 1 PM on the 22nd. Dust control has closed. We started prepping and getting everything lined up for doing that. I know this says 63 applications, it's actually 65. I missed 2 for an extra 400 meters, so. Gillis and Sunny Valley crushing. I submitted some corrections for the engineers to adjust their tender, so that I'm assuming I should have that sometime this week, and we'll be posting it and see who wins. So that'll be coming back to you in the near future.
So that tender is gonna be for both.
Whole Sunny Valley and
Not
Gillis.
gonna be a separate one for Gillis, one for Sunny Valley.
Correct, yeah, it'll all be one to save money.
Just a quick question, then, Charles, we also included the request that we had from the province to use some of our gravel.
Sorry, say that again?
You had a request from the province to also, I think it was the province or somebody to use some of our gravel or buy some of the gravel.
Oh, that's
We included
transportation. Yes, we included that as well. So transportation's doing their own re-gravel program. So we will only sell as per council policy to transportation. So they needed 10,800 ton. So we included that. So they'll get a bill for the gravel they built. So that'll help fund some of our project, not all of it.
So what's the kind of the reserves of those 2 pits, like how many years are we good for that? Do you have any idea?
So once we're done in Gillis, we'll be good for this re-gravel and next re-gravel in the south. Sunny Valley will be good for crushed. Oh,
Like just the reserves, not crushed, you know, like,
oh,
how many more
no,
crushes can we do there? Are we good for another 100 years or?
oh, I wish.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we'll be
and I-
good for about 6 years.
6?
Yeah.
6 more crushes, so something we may have to talk about at strategic planning and start looking for, you know. I mean, I really think we missed out when that 1 quarter went for auction right across the road from our Gillis pit and Northern Sunrise bought it. I mean, I guess we were just kind of asleep at the time. Yeah, it's directly to the north of Gillis, kind of kitty corner. They got a motocross track over there or something now.
Oh, that was a long time ago that.
Well, it was on my time on council that happened, right? So.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I guess I shouldn't say long time.
I mean, probably 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah,
And we never even looked at it.
so
And I'm sure there's gravel reserves there, right? Because it's all around it, right?
do that. We currently own 2 pits, one that is not even open,
One is
not open.
Oh.
We have not even touched it.
like a separate location from
Yes.
Gillis.
Yes,
Okay.
to the northwest.
I should, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we've got one up there. We've got a bunch of SMLs. Because it's like Sunny Valley is not owned by the county. That is a lease from the crown.
Mhm.
So,
Called Silver something?
Silver Creek is also an SML.
That's out west of Dixonville.
Yes, yeah, we've got a bunch of it. Well, I shouldn't say a bunch, I think 9.
That's good.
But I'm not in any shape, like, I will be long gone, retired.
No, and so,
probably
I
in the
but I mean, I
ground.
guess it's just, it's not a renewable resource, right? So
No.
once it's gone, it's gone. So I think we want to make sure we're not
Yes,
standing on the outside looking in at some
Oh.
point.
for sure, yeah, no, we're in very good shape. Yeah. So,
But you can always be in better shape if you know, if something comes available, we should bring it to our attention.
Yeah.
Whether the crown auctions off more or private land or whatever.
it's a little easier if you lease them versus owning them from a regulation standpoint,
Well,
and liability as well. market value of what the standpoint is.
The only
But yeah.
leasing, is there any kind of a timeline that you have to do something?
Yeah, so we do annual reports and we have to keep, we have to submit a 5-year report as well for, like environmental reasons. And what kind of shape these areas are in, make sure they've been reclaimed, that they're not straight face slopes or anything like that. As far as term, I believe they're 25-year terms. I'm just looking this way to think. Yeah, I believe it's 25-year terms and it's usually not a hassle to get them renewed. The Crown's usually pretty good with.
No, I'm sorry, I got you off topic.
No, that's 100%. That's why I sit here.
Do you think that those tenders are gonna line up with what GGS is doing, like, because they were crushing in there, like, do you think that the tender will be out in time to maybe take advantage of them being in the area?
I'm not gonna name names, but.
It should be okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough, moving on.
There are other companies as well that are crushing in the area and that have their gear up in
Yeah,
this area.
just because
or
it's
up in
usually a
the
time
country.
save, right? If you
100%.
switch down the highway or.
And
Yeah.
cost on your mobilization, right? So if you're coming from Edmonton versus coming from Peace River.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Just-
easier.
Just a hop in an area right now.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, it really is.
yeah.
Oh, bridges, everybody's favorite topic. So Smith Mills, I'm trying to get that tender reviewed for the installation of the prefabricated structure. I hope to have that done by the end of the week and sent back to the engineers for correction if there is any. Warrensville Bridge. I know the bridge file numbers mean nothing to you guys, but means
The one at the
everything.
bottom of the hill.
That's the ski ground one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that I sent you pictures of.
Yeah,
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 okay.
we call it the ski ground one because it was.
It really
was bad.
is, okay.
It is now fixed. They
Oh my
finished
God.
on Saturday, I believe, and then they mobilized to Range Road 231 Bridge 7244. And they started work on that last night. They will be pulling the bridge deck on that today and fixing the abutment boards so that we can reopen that bridge and the resident can come up Sunny Valley Road instead of detouring all the way back. There was one other. Okay, we don't know anything about Keg River yet. Or the Carcajou Bridge, is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about
The one we applied for this year.
the
Covered bridge.
bridge.
Yeah, we have not heard anything yet. I've been watching, I know they're gonna send a letter, but I've been watching the grant site to actually look yesterday and there's nothing on there yet. I'm fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything's crossed. So I'm really hoping for that one.
It's supposed to be a cabinet shuffle this week, so maybe somebody else will be taking over ATEC there. And not that that would make it.
No, the decision's probably already been made.
Yeah.
So,
But we might have to go knock on somebody else's door, is all I'm saying.
well, I think our meeting with the deputy minister there, I think that,
Yeah, that goes a lot further, I know, but.
yeah.
The Smith Mills one, so that's gonna be done over the summer here, but like seeding is done now, which is
Yeah.
good, so.
Yeah, so we're gonna wait till school's out. That way buses aren't an issue.
Yeah.
Like I've said in the past, it is going to be such a quick project.
Hopefully,
Blink and it'll be done.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully it goes-
not like some other bridges, like we're not building a concrete bridge, so.
I mean, I guess you never know what the weather's gonna be, also you get the monsoon season, but that's, you can't
They
predict
can drive piles in the rain.
that. To do dirt work though.
The other one, sorry for that, that I didn't put on here just in the interest of space, and keep this as one page. Was Carcajou Bridge file. We're still waiting to get a pre-construction date set. Cause that's one the council had already awarded to Northern Road Builders. Get that one going, that's there's not gonna be any closures up there, so it's not.
That's when they're gonna push the pipe through.
Correct, yeah.
Curious how that works out,
No, I think it'll be good.
but could be a precedent, new way of doing it then rather than digging.
Oh,
out.
it's already being done.
Oh, I realize, that, but I mean, it seems like most of these big pipes, dig them out, build a detour,
Yeah.
month later, you're still working on it.
Yeah.
And then just a follow-up to our phone call the other day, road band's still looking like they're gonna stay for the foreseeable right now.
Yep, so we have
I've
our,
got some avid gardeners who want
oh, I
their
know,
dirt hauled,
I-
and it's like.
I get a few phone
Yeah.
calls a day.
Okay.
And it's. We still have frost coming out of the ground. We blanket road ban the entire county, so the north had a bit of a later thaw.
Mhm.
So we're trying to wait for everything to calm down up there. Even the south is still having some weird things happening with the roads, but. Frost is coming out and,
Yeah, just for the rest of council, in case they're
Yeah.
getting calls too. I know we talked about it.
so I know I'm confident that I could say at the latest end of the month,
Mhm.
we should have them off.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Charles. The dust control program, and now I see, like, the applications have been closed for calcium, but, so now I'm seeing complaints about dust, just in the hamlet of Dixonville. And it's on the south end there, the transfer station road. The one residence gets it from both sides. I'm wondering, what are the chances of just getting some water put on the road there, if that is even in the budget at all?
I mean, we can put water on the road, but if it's a hot day, it'll be gone by noon. That's the unfortunate part of people doing, like we were discussing earlier. Companies that go and use water trucks versus calcium. And I mean, if council wants, we can put that as a county sponsored one. That's up to council, but. Watering it, I don't see the effectiveness of it and we
Oh.
can't really afford to keep a water truck on that road all the time, so.
Yeah, the problem is if you start watering, you have to continue.
Yeah.
Water.
True. Okay, just letting you be aware that I had those complaints.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Well, actually, it was on Facebook.
Yeah, I did see that one.
That's where that's where the complaints go.
And one thing too, actually, that I will mention, I know Brenda, you brought up a hauling concern.
Yes,
Yeah, we looked into that and it was. From what we can tell, it was just a piece of equipment that got hauled in on, I think you said Smith Mills Road.
mm-hmm.
It was just a piece of equipment got hauled in and dropped off. That was the extent of it.
Oh, yeah, they're not hauling out of there just yet. They're still logging, right? So I was just letting you know that I'm not sure which direction they'll be going, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so we'll keep an eye on that one though.
and I'll try and find out who the company is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be highly beneficial.
And then just on the Facebook comment, Brenda, just remind your people that phone calls to the office work a lot better than Facebook.
Yeah, for sure. I just find it hard not being sarcastic on Facebook when I answer, so I stay off.
And Josh's comment about lots of leaks in Dixonville, no, that's. Well. Constant or whatever your wording was. Not a lot of leaks in Dixon. Just put that up there.
So Charles, on the delegation we had this morning about the dust control going west on that township road, you want to talk about the end of the meeting when we generally discuss delegations or just, I mean, I think you've already kind of made your comments that you've talked to the.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it now.
Sure, then it's done with, it's fresh on our minds.
Yeah, so. I watch my emails, we've received the, road use agreement from the hauler. As far as it goes on enforcing this, like, we don't really have a whole lot we can do. Shy of pulling a road use agreement, but we pull a road use agreement, now, well, and they keep hauling, now what do we do? Right, it's difficult to,
No, it is. I mean,
and as far as monitoring everybody with a road use agreement, I mean, I can't even tell you how many we have. Some of them are one-offs, some are like the mills that are hauling regularly. Yeah, we are able to monitor those and they are in constant, not constant, but frequent contact with the haul coordinators. But if it's not a large haul like that, it's hard to, we don't have the staffing to monitor everywhere people are hauling. I mean, we've got over 1,100 kilometers of road. So it's kind of.
no, and I mean, and I told him, I hope I was that line, I said, I mean, these usually are complaint driven
No, they are.
monitoring, so I don't want them to have you on speed dial phoning every time there's a truck over there. I mean, if it gets out of hand, I guess that's probably our eyes on it, is people that are affected. And
Yeah.
they should certainly reach out to them.
And that's 100%, and I've encouraged that from the get-go, is that if you see something and you don't say something, and you live on that road, well, don't just assume that we know it because it's our road.
Exactly.
We need to know about it, and
I'm not trying to throw West Fraser on the bus, but I mean, even though the agreement is not with them, it still circles back to them, so I guess enforcement, I mean, if you cancel road use agreement and they keep hauling, well, I think then we have to maybe talk to them and say,
and I have talked
Okay.
with West Fraser as well, so, choose my words wisely.
well, I'll just say before you, while you're looking for your words, I mean, we support forest industry hugely, right? We recognize they're a big employer, big assessment, and so we want to work with them, right? And I think they want to work with us. We've always heard that they come here and they've always respected the municipal partnership we have, so I think that we'll all work together to make sure that we're not going to be heavy handed, right?
Yeah, and my conversation with the mill was similar to your comment there, that they are willing to work with us on if this doesn't get resolved and snowballs, then they're willing to help them with something.
So what kind of volume are we looking at on this road? And is it intermittent or is it very steady?
My understanding is that it was intermittent, like they're hauling 2 days a week. And they're hauling all the way to BC. And it's.
But they're hauling both ways. They're taking from the mill to the stockpile, from the stockpile
Yeah,
into
so-
BC, so.
So that in itself, that's its own. It's kind of a weird issue because. The shavings are now, are the product of the hauler. When they're leaving the mill, that's now theirs, it's not the mill's problem. And that's where a bit of the confusion came in earlier on, is because we assumed that they were under the mill's road use, but they are not, because they're hauling on their own, they're doing their own thing. So. From what I heard here today, we'll investigate it further and see how heavy this is happening. One of the things too, if we are getting complaints like this, like we just did an order here because the budget's been approved now for traffic counters. So these traffic counters will be able to tell, are they semi, are they pickup truck, or the SUV, passenger car, all sorts of things, how fast they were going, type thing. So that'll help a bit. I mean, it won't necessarily identify them, but I mean, in this instance, we know, well, this is the hauler that's going there, and we see 100 trucks a day, well, now that's a different conversation.
But you don't know if it's a
Yeah, cause I,
honest truck or a cattle liner or a grain trailer, right? So-
yeah, and that's, well, some of those, and I don't know about these, well, it'll tell the configuration.
Yeah, if it's a beach or a street. trailer, yeah. But I mean, again, that's still, but yeah, that'll help. I thought of the same thing. I thought the counter would be very helpful.
Yeah.
But I think we wanna work together to a solution, right?
100%, and I mean, this hauler is employing local people.
So he says in his delegation that we pay taxes, the hauler told him, so are they a county-based business?
They're actually out of Grand Prairie.
Yeah, I never heard of it before locally, right? And I say locally, right, from Peace River to King River, right? So his statement about we pay taxes, I'm not sure where that is, but, that's irrelevant, really, in the
Yeah.
whole conversation.
Well, that's just it, it's.
I mean, he pays taxes somewhere, and he pays provincial taxes, and municipal taxes in Grand Prairie. I don't know, but, okay, well, that's good you're on top of it.
Yeah, we're monitoring the situation.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Otherwise, I get a motion to accept the DPW report. Okay, Councillor Biskie, all in favor? Carried. We're 1 minute to 11, so we're going to move to a public hearing. Oh, yeah, I know. You made a note. We'll come back to the calcium tender after a closed session.
Sorry, the calcium tender is in camera.
Yeah, as I say, we'll come
Oh,
back to it,
okay.
awarding it after.
Gotcha.
There's a good camera discussion, so.
So,
Okay, so where folks is that public hearing information? Can you very beginning?
We have a new municipal affairs minister, just so everybody knows. The guy who stepped down,
Who did they appoint?
Chow,
Who?
Chow, or Chow,
I think McIver's gonna probably be the
he's the
speaker.
speaker, yeah. I just see my news pop up. There's your side gossip all the time.
Okay, I'll declare the public hearing for bylaw number 25-41-499 open at 11 a.m. Welcome all participants. So I'll ask what the nature of the proposed bylaw be read into the record. Charles Schwab, Director of Public Works, will read the following into the record.
so bylaw number 25-41499 was given first reading on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, council meeting. Today's public hearing is to allow any public to make comment to the changes and updates made to the bylaw. The purpose of this bylaw is to regulate the supply and use of water and wastewater services in the county, and it includes an additional schedule for guidelines for managing water supply during drought conditions.
Okay, thank you. Has confirmation that the notification requirements, newspaper ads, announcements, timeframes, etc. have been met?
Public hearing notification for bylaw 25-41499 was posted in the Mile Zero banner post as well as on our website and social media.
Okay. So the stating rules of conduct that would be followed during the hearing, so I'll call from the presentation. And that would be,
So that was the public engagement meeting that was held March 10th, 2025.
okay, thank you. And have you received any written submissions in support of the proposed amendment?
To date, no written submission. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. To date, no written submissions in support were received.
Okay. Have you received any written submissions opposed to the proposed amendment?
To date, no objections have been received or expressed.
Thank you. Is there any verbal submissions in support of the proposed amendment? Seeing nobody in the room, not speaking, so I'll ask if there's any verbal submissions opposed to the proposed amendment. None, seeing none. So I will call for your recommendation.
It is recommended that the proposed bylaw be given second and third reading.
Okay, and I'll give council a chance for any questions. Okay, seeing none,
Can I just add one thing in
you
here?
certainly can.
So Dan caught this. The bylaw number has changed. For some weird reason, our old bylaw was 1940. Our water code for the county is actually 41. That is why. This slight change. But I just wanted council to be aware of that.
So do we have to make a correction on the first reading we gave, or is it right on the first reading?
No, that's fine. It'll be.
Okay, so with that, I will close the public hearing at 11:04. Now we want to go back and give a second reading. Okay, motion to make, give second reading to the bylaw. Okay, Councillor Reese, all in favor? Carried. Okay, motion for to go to third and final reading. Councillor Chuck, all in favor? Carried. Another delegation is scheduled for 11:30. You guys want to move up?
Can we do the secret, please, Jeff?
Oh, sure. Okay. So we don't have a separate agenda for that? We have to do two now. Yes, we'll recess this meeting and call to order our Municipal Planning Commission meeting at 11:05. You have the agenda before you, can you find it? All in favor? Carried. So you can come up here if you want. We're on to the Municipal Planning Commission now. So. Is everybody got the agenda?
If you guys want to follow us, that's the blue pages.
Okay, so minutes from the previous meeting, April 22nd. Any discussion? If not, give a motion to accept those. Okay, Councillor Decken, all in favor? It's carried. Planning and development. Development permits issued by the development officer. There's three of them there. Motion to acknowledge receipt of them, accept the information. Councillor Shug, all in favor? It's carried. Item B, development permit GP 25-10, proposed home-based business. We have somebody on ISL, or Pearl, are you gonna take us through this, or is ISL online?
ISL is online. We've got Gail and Debbie.
Yes, I'm online.
Okay, who we have, don't recognize your voices yet, so. Gail?
Okay, so you're ready for the report?
Yeah.
Okay, so the applicant is proposing to develop a home-based business major limited to a bed and breakfast to be located on Lot 1, Block 2, Plan 1823355 on a portion of the southwest of 148424 west of the 5th. The bed and breakfast will be located within a 6.1 meter high yurt already existing on the parcel. The yurt is 20 feet in diameter and is approximately 300 square feet in size. The yurt is a portable circular dwelling characterized by a lattice of flexible poles covered in felt and fabric, creating a dome-shaped structure. It is the applicant's intentions to offer a glamping experience on a seasonal basis from May to October. Glamping is defined as a form of camping involving accommodation and facilities more luxurious than those associated with traditional camping. The maximum number of occupants will be limited to 4 people. The yurt consists of an open space with a queen bed, a trundle bed, a table and chairs, and a dresser. There is a deck around the yurt that leads to an outdoor privy. Breakfast will be made available by the applicants. The subject parcel consists of 4.05 hectare and is zoned country residential general CR1 district. A home-based business major is listed as a discretionary use in this district. The parcel is located approximately 9 kilometers northwest of Grimshaw and is within the County of Northern Lights and MD of Peace intermunicipal development plan. The parcel on its east side is heavily treed. Agricultural lands are located to the west and the north of the treed area. An existing residence and attached garage are located in the treed area. The existing yurt is in the treed area north of the residence. The applicant intends to convert a 14-foot diameter grain bin that is situated close to the yurt into a covered meeting area with a central fire pit. An outdoor privy with tank is located near the east parcel boundary. Potable water will be supplied to the yurt from an existing water well located on site. Adjacent lands contains a mixture of land use districts. The parcel to the east, west, and north of the parcel is zoned agriculture restricted AR district. A parcel located in the southwest corner of the quarter is zoned country residential general CR1 district, while the lands directly south of the parcel are zoned Crown land or CL district. The parcel is located within the Grimshaw Gravels Aquifer, but is not located within any historical value classified designation, key wildlife biodiversity zone, or environmentally sensitive area. Cardinal Lake is located approximately 450 meters from the southeast corner of the parcel. A wetland review based on Alberta merged wetlands inventory indicates that there are no wetlands on the parcel. The quarter section is accessed via Township Road 842, which is located south of the property and is classified as a residential road. A second access to the park.
Well, you muted yourself, Gail. Must have hit space bar.
All of a sudden. Okay, so I'll just start that sentence over. The quarter section is assessed via Township Road 842, which is located south of the property and is classified as a residential road. A second access to the parcel is located west of the treed area. There is a water well on the parcel and an ATCO overhead power line located on the south side of the parcel, which provides power to the site. A low pressure gas line is located on the parcel. There are no high pressure gas lines, county water lines, well sites, or any records of spills or contamination within the quarter section. The proposed development was reviewed against the county's municipal development plan, the county's and MD of Peace's IDP, and the land use bylaw and relevant provincial legislation. No concerns have been identified.
You're muted again, Gail.
Keeps on automatically going.
And again,
It sounds like rural internet.
you're still muted, Gail.
Okay, hopefully this is it. I don't know why it's changing back and forth. The application was circulated to the MD of Peace, affected agencies, and adjacent landowners. Responses were received from Alberta Energy Regulator, Pembina Pipelines, TELUS, and the Grimshaw Aquifer Association, all indicating they had no concerns. Alberta Health Services has been in contact with the applicant and has indicated that the applicant will meet all requirements under the Public Health Act. Alberta Municipal Affairs has advised that they have no concerns with the proposed development, subject to the outdoor privy being equipped with a watertight holding tank being used on commercial property. They advised that the privy should comply with Part 10 of the 2021 Alberta Private Sewage System Standard of Practice. No concerns from the MD of Peace, adjacent landowners, or any other referral agencies were received. It is recommended that this application for a home-based business major limited to a bed and breakfast be located on Lot 1, Block 2, Plan 1823355, a portion of Southwest 148424 west of the 5th, be approved subject to the conditions listed.
You just go through the conditions, Gail. I mean, I know it's a bit of reading, but let's just go through them so we're all familiar with them.
I'm sorry, did you want me to read the conditions?
Yes.
Okay, the development proceeds in accordance with the attached plans and site plan to reflect the proposed location on lot 1, block 2, plan 1823355, a portion of Southwest 148424 west of the 5th. Number 2, the applicant shall comply with the uses and regulations of the Country Residential General CR1 District. Number 3, the applicant may be required to enter into a development agreement with the county, which may include upgrades to the existing approaches. If upgrades are required, the applicant owner shall consult with the County of Northern Lights Public Works Department to ensure the approaches are constructed in accordance with county standards. The applicant shall comply with all requirements under the Public Health Act. The applicant shall comply with Part 10 of the 2021 Alberta Private Sewage System Standard of Practice. The applicant shall provide a portable toilet on site and ensure all waste is emptied at an authorized waste disposal location. Number 7, the applicant shall set up the proposed fire pit into bare ground or a non-combustible surface and ensure a 3-meter or 10-foot clearance from the existing yurt, property lines, and other combustible materials. Number 8, the applicant shall ensure the fire pit is less than 0.6 meters or 2 feet high and less than 1 meter or 3 feet wide with enclosed sides made from bricks, concrete, or heavy gauge metal. Number 9, the applicant shall install a spark containment cap on the chimney pipe that extends from the fire pit to the center opening of the grain bin. Number 10, the applicant shall provide garbage receptacles on site and ensure all garbage is hauled off site on a regular basis to an appropriate waste transfer facility. Number 11, additional development or construction is not allowed without an approved development permit from the County of Northern Lights. And number 12, the decision being posted on the county website and advertised in the local newspaper and no appeal against said decision being successful. There is an advisement at the second approach onto the parcel located west of the treat area is allowed to remain subject to a condition that there be no maintenance or replacement by the county.
Thank you. Council, have any questions? Seeing none. Somebody prepared to make a motion to acknowledge receipt of this development permit application and approve with the 12 conditions in the advisement.
I'll move that.
Okay, Councillor Shug. Last call for discussion. All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Ms. Williams, maybe a discussion regarding the sea cans.
Yeah, so I was going to speak to this one, actually. We had a conversation with ISL, Pearl and I being Louis. So just some background, this all started, we had a kind law-abiding citizen who reached out and asked if they were required to obtain a development permit to move a sea can onto their property. Does everybody know what a sea can is? So there are probably, if I had to guess, a couple hundred of these already in place in various locations in the municipality. I have never seen a development permit for one. Gloria is also shaking her head, so that tackles, what do we say, 25 years worth of not having a development permit. However, they're not specifically identified or defined in your land use bylaw. So what that means is the closest definition that would encompass them would be a semi-detached dwelling, I believe. Or accessory building, which have restrictions and requirements for permits. So in this specific example, the landowner wants to move one and they're going to use it as a storage shed. It's a sea can, it's portable. We let them go ahead. I was out of town, we just made a decision. But we wanted to have this conversation with council because sea cans are becoming quite common. They always were. However, their historical use has been you put one on, you use it as a shed. So as storage for your household items. They'll be moved on during construction to house tools or materials, that kind of thing, all of which is fine. People are starting to use them for some other things. Sea can or container homes are becoming popular, not necessarily here, but elsewhere in the world. What we are seeing here and what we do have a couple of, again, with no permits, as far as I understand, is you can use them as the outside walls of a shop-like structure and then build a roof over top. And then you can go as extravagant as leaving them open, enclosing the backside, you can even get doors that fit them. I know we have at least one in the county. I think there's another one that might be in the town boundary. I think there's a couple more people that I'm aware of that are looking at doing something like that. So it becomes at what point would you, well, first of all, would you like to see this defined in the land use bylaw? It will require some land use bylaw amendments and municipal development plan amendments that will be done in conjunction with Pearl and ISL. But in the simplest fashion, do you think it's warranted if somebody's moving one CCAN on? Do we think we need to have a development permit? And if we do, what really is the point that we're trying to achieve there?
So this would apply to all classes of land, like agriculture, residential, non-residential?
Well, if it's an ag building, that's not a house, they still don't need a permit, so.
So it says.
So again, agriculture gets that kind of that free space, right? That they-
The one shop like structure we have is not agriculture, though, it's on an ag property, but it is a commercial storage shed for equipment, as far as I understand. I think we can only fight so many problems at once, but. So one that's gonna be used for storage, do we need a permit for that? What if we have two? What if we have three? What if we have four? What if we build one of these shops and it's not ag, but it's somebody's doing this as an actual residential shop? Do we need it then? What if it's a hunting cabin? What if, right? So it becomes kind of problematic, so we wanted to just bring it to your attention and have a discussion, I guess, of what you want to see done moving forward.
So I've heard of other municipalities, I don't know that I've heard of in ours where you see can show up at a gas well that's not being produced commercially anymore, but they'll put a CCAN there, the generator in it, and a bunch of computing equipment for data, right? So
Yeah, data mining center, that's, I think we have a couple of those, they're probably in Clear Hills, though, down the Chin Road, my understanding. So yeah, like lots of different uses, we've talked about a whole bunch here, some of which are ag.
whether it's a APCO trailer or a CCAN, same thing, I mean, that's just a temporary.
Well, but different, because, and like an ACO trailer actually is
Excuse me.
a residential dwelling, and it's got wastewater and potable water connections, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
It
well-
can still be temporary, and you see those lots for like temporary industrial camps. There's places, I drive past one every day that actually have that set up as a residence. Right, so we see that as well.
No, but I'm talking for storage or generator or something where it's not residential, it's other purposes, but
My own property personally, I've got authority to put CCAN with doors on both ends, and it's got a lean-to structure built on it. So I didn't build it. Sarah was like, but
It's best up on
Yeah.
that.
pretty sure there's not a development permit, but it's ag, because I own farmland.
That's
Yeah, and I keep my quad in there to check on my pasture. Right, like, so it's just bringing this to your attention, and we're just looking for some direction, because right now, like, for that person to move it on there for storage, for residential storage, technically that still needs a permit if we're gonna classify it as a semi-detached dwelling or an accessory building.
Well, and
Um,
It's clear.
If I
And
can,
Gail or Debbie, feel free to jump in too if you have any other comments. I just kind of whizzed through, and I realized I didn't share this report with you ahead of time. I was time crunched, so.
I think, CCAN, used just for storage is just a temporary building, but when they start putting them together and creating something else, that changes, what it is. So I don't think, whether it's a CCAN or anything else, it should be the same as any other building.
I would agree with Brenda on this. In most municipalities, they try to limit CCANs for storage in more of the commercial, like hamlet areas or villages and towns and so on, because eventually it can become a problem for the adjacent landowners. In the ag district, I would agree that they're probably can be considered farm buildings or farm whatever, but I've seen where we've had them, they've built them or turned them into garages, And so I've also seen from a different municipality I worked at where it was required that they get a development permit for an accessory building. And then they have to finish the outside like they would the existing residence and so on. And then the same if they're building it as a house. The permits would come into play. But the only place I would say is you could have some problems in the country residential if it's a really high density development. People might not want them around, but most of the time people don't even know they're there, except when you're in the urban settings.
But they are way cheaper than a shop and they are very popular.
I was gonna say it's becoming more popular, right? And I know like a few of the neighbors, like in the Warrensville Espens, for example, which is all tight knit CR ones, right? Like those might become an issue there, even if they are a storage.
Yeah.
People don't like 3 cows there, let alone a huge sea can, so. I
So
think
does our
it's worth-
existing land use bylaw, does it really address?
It doesn't address
No.
sea cans at all, so we have to consider them as an accessory building or a semi-detached dwelling if it was gonna be converted into a house, right?
And I think that's just it, right? It's more economical, it's gonna get more popular. I think, than
So would that just be changing the definition of an accessory building?
Or just listed in there?
Yeah, well, it could become a bunch of different things. It could be defined and then defined with kind of various uses. They could be permitted in like ag general, maybe country residential,
Discretionary.
probably not hamlet, like to address those concerns, because they're not, when you just get them dropped off, they're not the nicest looking things necessarily. They can be painted, they can be covered so they can look different, but you can mitigate a lot of those concerns. But it would have to, if we wanted to handle them separately than just any other accessory building, we would have to define it and then include it in all of the different districts that we wanted to see done.
Under discretion.
Which we could develop and bring you
Yes.
proposals, we just.
I think we definitely should.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. We need it defined just because of all the different ways people can use them.
I'll only say one more thing on this is, you know, you talk about them being used as an accessory building. If that's the case, they would be covered off and you don't have to have a CCAN to be defined for that because it also has to meet the building code and that's addressed. It's the exterior finishes and things like that that you want to address and you do in all your development permits anyway. So whether it's a house or an accessory building, they would have different requirements and need the permits, whereas if you put a definition for CCAN for storage or, you know, temporary storage container kind of thing, you will be addressing that and whatever zones that you'd like to put it in as a
Thanks,
permitted
Debbie.
or discretionary.
Okay, so, yeah, sorry.
Well, drive-ins. That
Yeah.
are being used, you know, they're being used for other things other than. See now.
Gazebos. It's the most popular, as you just saw.
As you just saw.
Yeah. Yeah, not, they're becoming slightly more popular as well. And I think they would be handled probably the same. I would also venture a guess that this was the first time I've actually seen mention of it in a permit. I know of probably 2 other ones personally, but. Yeah, so there definitely room for improvements, but like we said, wanted to plant the seed and get your direction on what you want to see, because obviously if we don't care so much about them until they become a more permanent fixed structure or turned into something, we're probably not going to take the time to spend the effort to do this. So you guys want to see it dealt with.
You would also look at some of those users, I mean, you gotta be specific, because I mean, if they put those two together with the dome in the middle, I mean, you would need an engineering report, because people could get hurt if something happens to that, so. Yeah, I would definitely think that we need, in some cases, it should be discretionary, but some cases it could be permitted, if it's a single CCAN on an ag general. You probably don't need anything else, it should be just a permitted use, but I think we should definitely do that. The development permit for those, it's my recommendation.
So then we have to amend or
Yeah,
Land use bylaw.
which is fine. I mean, that's a
Easy.
large adaptive bylaw that's gonna require changing all the time, right? The last big one we had, I think, was for,
So if that's not too much burden on Earl
Yeah.
and your staff and ISL, we'll make a motion to move forward with that then.
yeah, and more than likely, just from what I've heard, I think probably a definition that defines CCAN or temporary storage container. And then something that explicitly states, I'm just spitballing, but if it's going to be used like an accessory building, so turned into a shop or turned into a residential or whatever, then we would refer to those definitions and their, I guess, restrictions or permitted uses within the various zones. Does that make sense, Debbie and Gail?
Basically, if you don't have to worry about if they're turning it into an accessory building, that'll be taken care of in the development permit for an accessory building. It's a definition for a CCAN, if you'd like, and then you pick, if in the ag district, you could put it in as a permitted use. And also have another section where you say permits not required. If it's ag land and it's used for farming, you don't need a permit. But if you're in the Hamlet district, it's a discretionary use if you want, or you could put it as a permitted use. It just depends, on what the council's wishes are, if they would like, and in the higher density residential, but you'd want to put it as a permitted or discretionary use. But in the ag districts, probably put it down as not requiring a permit, but at least you've got a definition for it.
Okay, well, we'll leave that with you guys, ISL and our internal staff to bring us back something and we can sort that all out there and explain that to us
Great.
how you like it.
So Gail and Debbie Pearl and I will reach out at a later date here and just kind of walk through how we'll proceed through that.
Great, thanks.
Let's get a motion to.
Thank you.
proceed of this discussion and have administration draft wording for the land use bylaw regarding CCANs. You want to make that motion? Councillor Halavisky has, all in favor, carried. Thank you, Pearl.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, I will adjourn the MPC meeting at 11:30, which is right on time for our next delegation. I see you here. Shelley and Mike, if you want to come up for delegation table.
Happy anniversary.
For Jacob.
No, it's not till 5.
Yeah.
I might come back because I might come back with Angela after that.
Oh, yeah, she's. Okay, let's just introduce ourselves so we know everybody here. I'll start my far end of the table.
Brent Reeve there in Sunny Valley.
Teresa Tucker, Executive Assistant.
I was thinking on the CA.
Terry Ungarian, Hotchkiss Hot Hills Ward.
Laurie Decker, North Star Breaking Point.
Harry Days, Weberville.
Kaylin Sharp, Warrensville, La Cornell area.
And
Brenda Yasinski, Dixonville, Chinook Valley.
And we have some administration in the room as well, so introduce yourselves and I'll let you turn it over to you. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Oh,
I
thought you were.
Start with Josh.
Josh Hunter, Director of Finance.
And Charles Schwab, Director of Public Works.
Okay. I'm Shelley Shannon, Outreach and Education Coordinator for PRAMP.
And I'm Mike Basaga, one of the 2 technical program managers that works for PRAMP, overseeing our monitoring program.
And we have your PowerPoint on our screen, so.
Great.
Follow along with you.
Okay, so our air quality monitoring and reporting for communities, industries, and governments that support a healthy environment in Peace River area. That's our. So an overview about PRAMP, our air monitoring highlights and possible boundary changes. I'll share a little bit of history about PRAMP if you want to go to the next slide. Our air monitoring in the Peace region began in 2010. Residents were concerned about odors, emissions, and health impacts from industry. Pramp became a not-for-profit society in 2016, and we currently have 12 directors from community, industry, municipalities, the government of Alberta, and Indigenous governments. Our air monitoring is funded by the Oil Sands Monitoring Program, funded by heavy oil producers. And our education and outreach grant is from the Alberta Environment and Protected Areas. So in 2010, our focus on monitoring was for air quality impacts of the heavy oil operations. And by 2016, we became the non-for-profit, and 2018, Air Quality Health Index Station was added. Was that our first one? It was. And then today, our heavy oil AQHI and our small sensors. So Alberta is made up of 10 air sheds. We have 88 continuous monitoring stations across Alberta, hundreds of other monitoring sites measuring a variety of air quality parameters using an assortment of monitoring technologies. Mike will speak to those technologies later. And if you want Pramp air monitoring data is available at prampairshed.ca, and there's a link there that you can go to get all of our information on our website. And air quality matters, why it's important. So it has significant impact on human health, animal health, and the environment. Air monitoring is also crucial for responsible community economic development and growth. And understanding air quality and its impacts, it helps Albertans make informed choices related to their health. So I'm going to share a story about a young boy. I think it was it was in 2023, in July 2023, and that was our worst summer for air quality when we had the multitude of fires. So he lived in 100 Mile House, BC, and he was a 9-year-old boy who passed away of an asthma attack because it was made worse by the wildfire smoke. And his parents had checked the air quality that morning, but unfortunately the air quality available to them, the monitoring was over an hour away. So they weren't getting those actual accurate readings. So they thought they were letting their child play outside in healthy air, but really it wasn't. And it ended up taking his life. So even though they couldn't smell the smoke or knew that the risk was elevated, their air quality reading was saying from an hour away it was okay. So the family started a project to distribute 100 small sensors so that other families had better information in the area about the air quality, so that would not happen to another individual.
So Pramp operates an air quality monitoring network. And on this map, the green canola flowers represent the locations of our what we call our continuous monitoring stations. So these stations monitor air quality 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And they monitor a variety of parameters. As Shelley mentioned, Pramp's history was one around air quality issues around the heavy oil industry in the Three Creeks area. However, in more recent years, we've expanded the scope and of the kinds of monitoring that we do, and we have a portable monitoring station that we move around to different communities, which I'll talk about later. And we also introduced more of these air quality sensors, including one here in Manning. Next slide. This is just an example of one of the things we can do with our air quality monitoring data. This is just the Air Quality Health Index, which is an index that turns kind of complicated air quality monitoring data into a metric that the public understands. What does 65 parts per million of ozone mean to kind of general public? Not much. But if we have a scale of 1 to 10 with easy to understand health risk messages associated with those different risk levels, it's a much easier, I think, for the general public to understand and take measures to protect themselves. And this chart shows kind of each dot represents a 1-hour measurement of the Air Quality Health Index at our Grimshaw Air Quality Monitoring Station. And 2023 was a really interesting year from a wildfire perspective. It started very early in early May, and smoke was present in the area right until October in some cases, into November. And again, this is something, this air quality health index information is something that's available on our website, as well as, say, the Weather Network website. Our data is being used to produce the air quality health index on multiple platforms for the public to get that information. Next slide. So I mentioned our purple air microsensors. So the monitoring stations historically that we have that monitor multiple parameters cost upwards of $250,000 to $300,000 to outfit and deploy. With the kind of smallification of some of these air monitoring technology, there's air quality monitoring sensors have become a cost-effective way to bring air quality monitoring to multiple locations, and in particular, as wildfire smoke becomes kind of an issue or where the wildfires seem to be becoming more prevalent and longer lasting. These purple air microsensors, what they monitor is particulate matter, so smoke, dust particles, the kinds of things that wildfires produce. So we've deployed 11 of these air quality monitoring sensors in the PrEP network, as I mentioned, one here in Manning, but we've got a few more to be deployed over the next few days. We're currently at 11 sensors, so it's really expanded our ability to monitor air quality in the area.
So are these purple air strictly for smoke, and they don't pick up other contamination? Like
No, they only do particulate matter. So particulate matter is it's not any one compound. It's a number. It can be a number of things. It can be smoke. It can be road dust, harvest dust, any kind of particulate, anything like that. But in terms of some of the other pollutants, no, these purple air microsensors don't do that. However, we have our portable monitoring station that we can use to move that around to different communities that has the full suite of parameters. Right now, it's in Grimshaw. Before that, it was out at Cadotte Lake, and our next deployment is taking it to Peace River.
So these 11 sensors, do you have to collect the data manually from them, or do you communicate?
No, they're actually, you can log on to a website. One of the things that you kind of sign up for when you purchase a purple air sensor is that once it's online, it's broadcasting its data to the web. So anybody in the world can access the data, and you can see your sensor as well as the thousands of others across the globe on the purple air website.
How much data do they generate?
Pardon me?
How much data do they generate?
So these sensors are generating a value every couple of seconds, and you can go online and see it kind of like a near real-time measurement on the purple air website. We typically report air quality. It's fine, the public can do that. They can look at kind of their near real time. We typically report on a 1 hour average, just because that's what the Alberta health guidelines and that are based off of. So these are generating data every couple of seconds. Our gold standard kind of air quality monitoring stations also generate data every couple of seconds. But we're reporting it on a 1 hour average basis. About an hour after it's been generated, it's available on the website.
The data requirement be 1 gig, 10 gig?
Pardon me?
What would the data requirement be if you put it down with say like a LTE device or this?
Oh yeah. So
3 gigs, 20 gigs.
yeah. So some of the hosts are members of the public, so we have to answer that question for how much of my data are you going to be using if we're hosting this for you. So in a month it uses about the same amount of data as watching 15 minutes of YouTube. Right, so and then it uses about $10 in terms of power a year.
Are these what they look like, or are they like the rainbow ones that are like in the Grimshaw Library?
Okay, so
Is that a different monitoring one?
that's not a monitor, that's actually a lantern, and I think Shelley will talk about that. So the lanterns change color according to the air quality health index, and we can tie the lantern to the sensors, or we can also tie the lanterns to our other monitoring stations. And yes, and that's the air, the sensor itself is the
Is
photo,
one of these.
yeah, that
Oh,
you're seeing in your
that
slides.
feeds that lantern.
Yeah. Next slide. Any other questions on that? No. Yeah, so this is a map right now where the purple air sensors are. This map is about a week behind. We've added 2 more sensors since putting this map in this presentation. So we have another one at Northern Sunrise County office and then also one near another one near Fairview. Next slide.
Are these anything similar to what we had, Charles, those dust monitors we had? This is totally different, eh? Are you even familiar with them?
I am not familiar with that.
We spent some money and bought dust monitors for one of our main resource roads.
Right.
I don't think it worked out very well. Really.
Yes, for reference, I mentioned how much, so this picture here that you're seeing is one of our air quality, fully outfitted air quality monitoring stations. The trailer, we can move it around, has a bunch of monitoring equipment inside. That's the $250,000 piece of equipment. The purple air sensors are about $200 to $300, right? So they're quite a bit less. So as I mentioned, we have got a portable air quality monitoring station right now. It's in Grimshaw. Previously, it was in Cadott Lake. We're considering moving it to Peace River. We're working with the town to find a suitable monitoring station, but the intention is to move it every 18 to 24 months to kind of fill in some of these gaps in communities that don't have a permanent air quality monitoring presence, a multi-parameter air quality monitoring presence. Next slide.
Well, the boundary review, the Pramp board is considering whether it would be practical for Pramp and valuable for the region for its boundaries to be extended. There is no airshed and very limited monitoring east, north, and west of Pramp. So if you see the map on the next slide there, it shows where our area is, and then you can see the areas to the northwest and east that aren't covered. All the others below that are covered, so that's what we're looking at doing. Within its boundaries, Pramp seeks to provide small sensors to monitor particulate matter and education and outreach, and Pramp's permanent monitoring stations would remain in the vicinity of heavy oil operations. So the next slide there with the map shows where our boundary is now and where we would be thinking of going to the north to include Manning. Would we go up to high?
Yeah, if we go to the next slide, actually.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I think there's a slide missing here. There we go. Yeah, so this slide actually shows the dashed line is the current boundary, and then the green line shows the proposed boundary that we're looking at. And really it's about expanding the area to the kind of the areas that expanding our boundary to the areas that we actually carry out some of our work, because we're doing monitoring in Manning now, and we've got outreach going on in Red Earth Creek and out that way. So it's more about kind of bringing our boundary in line with how we're actually carrying out our business right now. Slide. Next slide. Yeah, and sorry, sorry. And this map here shows, as Shelley mentioned, there's multiple airsheds in the province. Right now, the MD of Fairview is a potential to be included in Pramp or Airshed Zone Association, as we have two similar names. And those are just some discussions that are going on right now. Next slide.
So our boundary considerations, we consider extending north to include Manning and east to include Red Earth Creek so that communities have access to air quality information. If boundaries are extended, Pramp would seek to provide 1 or 2 small sensors in the new communities and offer air quality education. Pramp board is interested in feedback from Northern Lights on the possible boundary changes. Do you have any questions on that?
I think it might be one in Red Earth Creek already, one of those sensors, because I installed one in the MDO opportunity in all the ambulance, so we should.
Oh, okay. We installed one at the school here, the Catholic school, last fall. And I did see a second sensor in Manning, so that's probably the one that you.
I'm referring to the Red Death Creek one.
Oh, Red Earth Creek. Oh, Red Earth Creek. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Is it inside?
No, it's outside.
It's outside. Okay.
So, questions, yeah, I mean. I guess question always comes to this council's mind is, budgetary considerations, right? Like what, as you expand. Like, I don't know how this program is funded, if you're talking some pretty expensive pieces of equipment, you have, and you have some staff and.
Yeah, so our funding comes entirely from the province through something called the oil sands monitoring program. So industry is effectively assigned a fee based on their operations in the area. Government collects that and then redistributes it to the different organizations that do environmental monitoring. It's not just air quality monitoring. There's water quality and biodiversity and all that kind of stuff included in the oil sands monitoring program. And there's kind of a group of programs in the Peace area, another one in the Athabasca area, and another one in the Cold Lake area, the three kind of oil sands producing areas. So our operations are kind of entirely funded through that program, including the purple air sensors.
So is that just oil and gas industry, or is forestry industry, do you have a checkoff too that they have to pay, or?
That's an ongoing discussion with Mercer right now, about membership and doing monitoring that would kind of fulfill their regulatory obligations, as well as provide more information to the public about air quality in the vicinity or downwind from the mill in Peace River. That would be kind of our first look into our first expansion of the types of activities beyond oil and gas for us.
I mean, I'm just from personal experience, especially in the fall when harvest is going on, you get a calm kind of inversion weather.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I can look as far as I can see every direction, and there's a combination of road dust from all the traffic and combines creating all the dust that combines do in the harvest. And I mean, I'm not concerned about it. Maybe I should be, you know. I don't know. So I mean, who air quality monitoring would encompass everything from wildfire smoke to oil and gas pollutants.
Yeah,
And even and Shelley's where, I mean, there's a proposal now for a nuclear power plant now, which is, you know, probably 10 years out at the best, but all of a sudden, would that encompass radiation or whatever? So I guess as we develop our industries, agriculture, forestry, oil, gas, nuclear, you name it, air quality is going to become important, right? So,
and I think too, if the kind of work we do, if you kind of see that there's going to be development coming to the area, I think the work that we do provides good kind of baseline monitoring information. We know what air quality is like now, it's good to know where we're starting from before we have got more, introduce more activity to the area. That said though, in terms of like the radiation monitoring part, like our monitoring network and like every airshed in the province, it's we don't all monitor the same thing. The monitoring, the airshed organization in Edmonton, Calgary, or Fort McMurray, they would have a network of monitoring stations that monitor air quality and monitor for parameters that are important to that region and to the types of activities in industry and things that influence air quality in that region.
The Pramp Air membership does not cost anything,
right,
to be a member.
Yeah, well, I mean, if industry's funding it, and that's great, that's the way it should be, and I see no reason why we wouldn't want to expand our boundaries, right? You're kind of here already with those preliminary things, whatever, but to go the full meal deal, but anyway, we can talk about that later.
There is no cost to that at all. So the next slide is the fun part. outreach and education. So originally I had, I was a board member for CRAMP for, it had to be at least a decade. I lost track. I don't know. It was right in the beginning. Because Peace River wasn't a member on there. So I joined as a community member, and then outreach and education became open. So I thought I'd try the other side of it. This is a really great part of our program, our outreach and education. We go into the community and schools and doing workshops about vermicomposting, doing the worm farms. Then we go back in the spring and they plant beans, or, to show the air quality and recycling and gardening and tying it all together. I recently did a senior project, do-it-yourself fan air cleaner. Canadian Tire donated some fans, and we did a workshop for seniors to be able to make their do-it-yourself fan and take it home with them, all free of charge, and use it as an air cleaner in their home, which worked really well. We have 30 of those, so I have several of those workshops coming up if anybody wants to drive to Peace River. And then I'm also going to try and take that into the mums and tots space, because as you know, I mean, children with asthma, it's important that young parents with young children are aware as well. We do newsletters. We go to local events and set up for awareness. We work a lot with libraries. So if you want to go to our website, there is information on there and some of the programs we do. But Lane, we are always expanding and looking at new things to bring to the communities to teach about air quality and its importance. So next slide. So our air quality lantern sponsorship is a new opportunity that we've just introduced. It's $500 a year to sponsor a lantern that changes color based on air monitoring information from local sensors or stations. We have 6 lanterns sponsored to date, and 2 more are going up tomorrow. One at Sagatawa, Move Up Magazine sponsored, and Manzer Environmental sponsored one for Points West Living. That's a senior facility. So those 2 are going, and it's $500 per year. So we have a few more people that are calling and wanting to, get, and then the sponsor, you can usually tell what preference they have for a public building in town. They're really pretty to look at. Like Mrs. Shug says, if you could see the one in the library in Peace River, and there's one in the library in Grimshaw, they're about that tall, and yeah, they change color. So that's a new program for the sponsorship. If you know of anybody that wants to sponsor, or if you want one for your office here, you can just contact us and we'll make that happen. Next slide. Oh,
It would have been good to have them in the bingo halls years ago.
oh yeah.
Just flashing colors.
That would be true.
The lanterns are like, I think, part outreach, part art installation in a way. Like it's not, we don't intend everybody to huddle around the lantern to find out what their air quality is. It's about bringing awareness to it. I mean, it's showing you what the current air quality is based on the color, but it's about bringing awareness to where you can find the information and that and what your current air quality is in the area.
So are there any questions?
Yeah, so I remember how this got started around 2010. There was quite a bit of controversy over the emissions in the Three Creeks area. I remember going to a meeting there. It seems like we don't hear much about it, so I'm assuming this has been a success in that.
Yeah.
Companies there, they went to the vapor recovery systems. I believe it. You can speak to that, but it seems to have addressed those particular issues.
Yeah, so that's I actually just spoke about this at a conference in Ottawa last week. It's kind of a success story of that program, right? That there were problems. There was, the monitor and it wasn't, it wasn't just squeaky wheels. The monitoring data showed that there were hydrocarbon emissions from those storage tanks, and there was the hearing, and out of that came a place-based directive that required industry in the area to implement a certain number of mitigation measures to reduce their emissions, and vapor recovery was one of them. And we've seen it in our monitoring data that the concentrations of the hydrocarbons and methane was a key indicator, have come back down to like background levels. The thing that's kind of now blurring that improvement is that these wildfires that are also can be a source of the same pollutants. So we're looking at ways to try and back out measurements that we know have been collected during wildfire events, because we're never going to, that monitoring presence in the Three Creeks area is never going to disappear, right? There's going to be a need to do that surveillance in the area because of the history of that area. But we know that it's been a big success story in terms of air quality and the things that were put into place to reduce those odors and emissions.
So in our area, I mean, it would be more, is what would kind of be the target view as far as air quality, is it like smoke?
Yeah, one of the things that we did in the boundary expansion considerations, of those are two maps that we presented in here. There was probably about 30 different maps that we looked at in terms of what are the sources in the area. If we expand the boundary to this, how is it going to change the way we do things? We didn't see a lot of kind of big industry up this way in terms of like at least currently. I think that might change. So I think kind of the main focus for the kind of monitoring that we would do here is mostly around particulate matter and providing that timely information during wildfire events. And we've seen that even in a small area during what appears to be a widespread wildfire smoke impact, you can see there's a lot of variation between what you might see in Manning versus Peace River. So having a network of these sensors spread out all over the place, I think really helps to understand the variation and report on data and air quality conditions that are relevant to the communities that are experiencing those air quality events.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to run through, you had a few more slides, we all have those, but I didn't know if you want to run through them quickly, or is there?
Those are just kind of
information?
if there are specific questions that came up related to
So council discuss this later. What would you need from us, like a motion from our council saying that, yes, we will support your boundary changes? Or how would,
I guess we weren't really seeking approval.
we're just gonna do it anyway?
Well, we were like seeking some feedback. Are there air quality issues that as a council are being brought forward to you? Is there something that we're not considering?
Well, I mean, when we had the wildfires, obviously there was.
Yeah.
You couldn't see across
Yeah.
the street sometimes, and then, I mean, we talked about dust was many and agriculture, so yeah, I guess we're no exception for air quality than anything else, right? So I don't know why we have this here if it's.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if you needed anything to expand your boundaries, or it's just something you arbitrarily do.
I think it's a board decision to expand the boundaries, but of course you want support from the areas where you're going in, the locations that you're.
So I would think that, I don't know if you're gonna do a presentation to Manning Town Council as well.
Yes.
or-
Tomorrow.
So I would think they'd be impacted as much
Yeah.
as anybody, because they're more, condensed.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it would be huge, right? Because I mean, you're already encompassing part of our southern boundary, like of our county anyways already, right? Because you're going up to Dixonville already, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a huge chunk of our southern half already.
And maybe make a motion to
become a member.
be a member.
Yeah.
Need expansion on the air quality monitors, that was part of the request, if you want to install some of those.
Say that again?
The actual monitors, that critical air monitors, is the request to also install more of those.
Well, we're always looking for more places to install those, right? I don't, there isn't a whole lot of value in saying, installing one on one side of the street and one on the other side of the street, right? But like, I think our goal is to increase in the number of communities that we're conducting the monitoring in. Yeah, so certainly that would be part of of our expansion is to bring that type of monitoring to those areas.
Do we know why we never were a member when they're already encompassing our boundary? Or like they're already in our county? Do we know why?
Maybe we never approached them.
I don't know, it just seems, I mean, like, it's like a substantial part of our county.
Yeah, and it probably has something to do in the decision on boundaries predates both Shelley and I, but I have a feeling that probably has to do with our history of what our focus was historically, right?
And now it's expansion
Yeah.
mode,
I
so
love it.
we can.
They were really focused on Peace River.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gas and oil industry.
Yeah.
And it's all stuff.
Like Ben said, it was all, I remember that too, it was all kind of worded from that Three Creeks area.
Yeah.
Some pretty serious stuff going on there, so.
It made national news, right? It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
it did, yeah. Well, just, I mean, we can talk about the end of our meeting, and I think we'll give you guys a letter of support.
Cool.
And
That would be great.
Become members, you
Sure.
know, if that's kind of your desire, so. But we'll
Okay.
talk about it later and
Yeah.
then get back to you. So thanks for
Thank you.
sharing that good information.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you and enjoy your anniversary party. I might see you later. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're gonna take a recess and go for lunch. We've got lots on the agenda yet this afternoon, so anybody that's up for Chinese food, we can go to Sam's and they'll accommodate us in the restaurant, so. Sounds good. Okay. Brenda, you want to try to Sam's for Chinese food?
Oh, no, I miss Sings. Well, enjoy.
Good to go.
Hi, Brenda, we're back.
Oops, okay.
Chinese food is good. In case you're wondering.
We ate a chicken ball for you, Brenda.
2 or 3.
Okay, we can move down to 6.4.1, item A is the no charge water services report. This is pertaining to the golf course.
Well, not just the golf course, but.
Well, I guess any services that.
So. At least favorite phrase. How we've always done this is these 4. Condi Meadows, the Para, the Ski Hill, Manning Ski Hill. And the Hotchkiss campsite, we've always turned their water on and off for no charge. We don't have a motion or anything like that stating that, so we would. Let's see it for council's discussion, and if we want to continue no charge, and if so, we would like to see a motion. If not, I mean, it's $25.
To turn it off and other 25 to turn it on,
Yes.
so $50 a season then. And what does it involve your staff, like just to go turn the CC on or?
Yeah, so I mean, the furthest one, I mean, it'd take about an hour time, so that $50 or $25 to go out there and come back doesn't really. We're not making money on it, that's for sure, but it is something that is kinda. Not in their daily or weekly, monthly, whatever duties, so. It's,
Can you work it in that you sort of do it at your convenience, not theirs, or?
we do it at their request,
Okay.
cause we don't want them touching our bills,
No, but
so.
if you could, you know, if you're working it in with something else that.
Yeah, and we could do that, I mean, it's not the end of the world, if you guys wanna do it as no charge, that's perfectly fine, we need some direction on it. Because we haven't charged them for a very long time. So,
Okay, well,
if ever, I don't know if we ever did.
I don't see a problem with the say, especially if, you know, say the utilities crew is up. Just for something else, check the truck fill, they could stop in and do the golf course. And
Yeah,
camp
that's,
around and-
yeah, like I said, it doesn't necessarily put us out, but it's just, it's in our schedule of fees, we charge it to residents.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, but here, it's basically we're charging, or we give them, well, I don't know about the free water, but we give the para a fair chunk of money. And then we turn around and charge them,
Give us our own money back.
yeah, so,
Well, they get a bill anyway for water.
but
Yeah.
And same as Hotchkiss campsite, you pay 50% of their expenses, so that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah.
And the ski hill probably the same. Okay, so
I can make the motion to have Public Works continue to provide it for free of charge.
Okay.
And you want to review the delivery
and review the service.
every 4 years, and it's on the council site, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
4 is a nice even number.
I like even numbers.
Should there have organizations be defined? That could be.
Oh.
Yeah, I like,
Oh, sort of, yeah. To,
I mean, these are the 4 that we do for free,
Yeah.
so.
to the 4 listed organizations.
If we could just list the actual.
Yeah, for
organizations.
sure. But I'm stopping for simplicity for this.
Yeah.
So Condi Meadows Golf Course.
You have a few round of golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Hotchkiss.
Okay, all in favor?
Thank you, council.
Next is 6.4.3, item A, the Cave River landfill.
We can both speak to
Speak up, okay, I've had, I don't know how many phone calls about it being on a Sunday. The ones that are, we have no church in Cave River, so they have to go elsewhere, either to High Level or Wood Creek. And they're finding it not very user friendly because they want to go.
Okay.
I thought I had it turned on. But anyways, other ones that I've talked to about, they said they really don't care if it's a Monday or whatever, or why can't we have it Sunday and Monday? I said, because that isn't how the contract is with the gentleman that's looking after it now.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman there that just texted me a little while ago. He's in the hospital right now, but he wanted to know if it was 1 or 2 days. If it was 2, he would be interested, but he said just for 1 day, it's. And he lives there, I don't know why I wouldn't be. You know, so I told him to contact you, if he's interested.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, so the contractor we have there now is open to doing it 2 days a week, but
2 days a week,
yeah, but that's gonna double your
Double the
cost.
cost.
but that's at double the cost, so
Yeah.
somebody that's living there. It shouldn't cost that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Gas
that's
or stuff like that, I don't know,
something Garrett and I can discuss here
yeah. I just thought I'd
publicly.
The only thing is I'm scared this guy might end up saying, okay, I'm out of here now too. So then we're back to
Well,
wherever
that's-
we were.
Yeah, we've already got a signed contract with them. I mean, there's options.
Yeah, if we could have it on a Monday, you know, on Sunday, on a Monday or something, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think that would get too confusing for
Too
people.
confusing. They're already in my.
Yeah, we've had this discussion a couple times, but we're open to doing what we need to do, whatever council decides. But there's no, if it's 2 days a week, you're gonna double your cost, because I think it's $750 a month as it is right now.
I thought it was 100 or something.
Well, per month.
Per month.
Yeah.
Depends on how many days actually fall
Oh.
within the month that he goes.
Touche.
to, so it will-
Yeah, fluctuate a little
Do
bit.
you want to
Yeah.
get technical?
But yeah, and I mean, like I said, he's open to doing 2 days a week,
But it's gonna cost.
but it'll cost.
Okay, I'll let you know how much it's gonna cost, maybe they'll.
Well, I mean, is there an option to do it? Instead of Sunday, you do it Monday, we talked about that too.
Yeah, we could do it Monday, or whatever we wanna do, or whatever council wants to do. Whatever day you guys want.
I mean,
Just
Bob,
one day is good as far as I'm concerned.
Bob, you okay with Mondays?
Monday, I think.
But yeah, he's fine with that. It would just be an adjustment on our side. I would venture a guess to say that we should probably, before we change the date,
Yeah.
we should advertise it for 2 weeks and then change the date.
Oh, God, yes.
Because otherwise you're gonna
Heard enough
end up
about
with
it,
angry
not
people
more.
that show up.
Yeah.
So Linda, how confident are you though that there's not people that Monday won't work for? Because if you guys change it again and then we just have a
Yeah,
different
well,
person
that was
complain,
my-
we're gonna have the same conversation again.
That was my concern, so I asked a few. A lot of them said we hardly ever use it, so it's not.
Well, yeah, and that's that I
It's
showed you
just, there
guys.
was
the
8 of them,
usage.
like 8 families.
Yeah.
That were concerned about. You know what, let me go around, do my usual, I send them all a message and say which day would you prefer. Like Sunday or Monday, and whichever is the best one, I guess.
Yeah, because at this time, we're not really considering 2 days. so
No,
it's either
just
Monday-
one,
Either Sunday or Monday. I
because I
guess,
think it's expensive enough as it is just for having one person.
the problem is you're not gonna satisfy everybody. no matter
No,
what you
never
pick,
will.
but I guess,
I don't think I've used that place for probably 3 years now. I get mine all.
So what you're saying is we leave it as is.
Leave it as is and let me text everybody and find out which.
okay, so just take that all out of there, Teresa, and just accept her information. Okay, who wants to make that motion?
I do.
Yeah, Councillor Reese moves that we acknowledge receipt of the computer lands and report, except for information. All in favor? Carried. 6.6.1A, administrative planning and economic development update. So,
Yeah, just a new one. Earl and I worked on this together, not a whole lot in here though, so. Just with her being back in the office, wanted to just bring our little updates and statistics, maybe on a monthly basis, if you guys think it's warranted, just to kind of update you, show you some things, and then it also kind of gives us an opportunity to just bring to your guys' attention, if you haven't already got them, some very specific complaints that come about. Which in this month just happened to be 2, which is what kind of drummed up the requirement to bring this here, so. The stats are listed there, I don't need to read them to you guys, but just there for information. The complaints, there's one I typed up and then another one I'll just speak to, but the first one was regarding the circulation notices or packages that go out to people, so for subdivisions and for discretionary use development permits or development permits that have any kind of variance in them. Our land use bylaw says that we'll circulate those to adjacent landowners. That circulation package actually looks exactly like the notice of decision, and it's got a copy of the application. It's just redacted with personal information. So I don't think it's ever been a problem that I can remember, but for some reason in the last 5-6 months, I've had 2 people phone and complain about this and just either confused as to why they're getting it. Or not understanding. The one person actually thought we were trying to charge them money and they were really confused. These people actually, in this instance, thought they got somebody else's mail, so they took it to their neighbor. And then the neighbors were not happy because they saw what everybody else saw. So, we had a discussion about with ISL, just what we are obligated to send, maybe some changes that we could make to kind of dial back the issues. So for starters, like I've indicated here on the package that goes out to all the adjacent landowners, instead of just being the same package, we're gonna cover it with a cover page or a heading that just says, you are receiving this as an adjacent landowner, no action is required unless you're in objection, and then see below, something like that. Said it differently than I wrote it. We haven't hammered that language out yet, but we will, just so that they know that it's, if you care, you can look. We did talk to the landlord, like, we have to send what the development is, so in some fashion, you're gonna need the plans or a measurement or a description of what it is, so that wasn't really a problem. They also weren't very happy with having the exact dollar value of what it was, so We need it because we have to report on it. For the circulation package, it's easy enough to just indicate less than 250 grams or more, and then at least it ties to the application fees. So, spoke with this concerned landowner after that, and they were actually really happy that we had actually taken them seriously and indicated that we were gonna make some changes. And we had made a joke at the end of the phone call. I said, now tell everybody that you phoned the government and they actually did something and helped you. So that was a good one. The other one is a weird one. Somebody phoned, and so this is probably fairly common here, but it's an old farm grain bin yard, and somebody has a camper in there. So I'm assuming whether it's seeding and spraying or whatever, but they've got somebody living in this camper and they're running their generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, diesel generator. You have no bylaws that can deal with that. The land use bylaw has provisions for how long, and the wording is very weird, but it's like, as a tourist, you can stay in an RV for no more than, I think it's 30 days, but it's specific to, it might be 60. It's specific to residential zones. So this is on an ag general quarter section that just so happens to be directly south of another quarter that has 2 residential subdivisions out there. So it's not gonna be a big problem. But it's the person that phoned not super happy that they had to complain. I did indicate, have you tried speaking with your neighbor? No. Maybe do that. Maybe it'll fix it. Maybe they don't know you can even hear it. So they were gonna do that, but they wanted to know if they had any basically clout to their complaint, which really they don't as of right now. Haven't heard back from them, so assuming they smoothed it all out, but those are the kinds of things from a planning and development standpoint that do happen, so we just feel it's nice to bring to your attention.
Is that an act general?
Yeah. Where the camper is, but then on the other subdivision, it's a portion is ag or ag restricted, and I don't know why, this is a weird one, and then the 2 subdivisions are country residential.
They were rezoned.
Yeah, but usually we rezone that whole quarter, I think, when we do it, so, or what I've seen. But regardless, it's. Zoning aside, it's not in a hamlet, but even if it was in a hamlet. We don't have a noise bylaw or a nuisance bylaw, so.
There's something in the bylaw about noise.
Detrimental, you basically default right now to, the MGA for, I think I put that in there.
I don't think we had a noise, because we have that one in the south or something.
Yeah.
With the
But
campground.
there's a section of the MGA that lets you do things if something is happening that is deemed detrimental to the value of the other adjacent properties. So noise 24 hours a day for the whole year. I mean, this is probably gonna last a month and then it'll go away, so. Anyways, there for your information and acceptance, and if you guys see the value of these, we'll just keep bringing them back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that that circulation stuff is gonna get shrunk down to
Yeah,
not, you know, you redact the names, pretty easy to figure out what it is if you go looking on the line number, right?
even in this one, it's like, it's a subdivision with 12 houses, well, you're probably gonna see it's got the construction crew going. Right, you know, but
Yeah, so I just don't think that all that personal information needs to be circulated.
and it was being redacted, Gary, like the names and address and everything was being redacted, but
But
it's
the amount of
yeah.
the structure was all.
the amounts there, and then it's just kind of confusing because it never said why you were getting it, so just for whatever reason, right now, that seems to be more confusing than it has been in the past.
Yeah. I guess some people are more private with what they do. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll get a motion to acknowledge receipt of this report, accept the information. All move, okay, Councillor Reese, all in favor? Carried. Thanks for that, Josh.
Yep.
Now we can move down. Community services, so we can put Trinity to work. Want to come up here, Trinity?
Yeah.
And we have our CCAP candidates, Any
Yes.
recommendations?
Yep.
Welcome.
All right, do you want me to go through them real quickly, or you just want to read over them yourselves and then just ask any questions? Okay, so the ski club is asking for $20,000 to replace grips and hangers on their lift system. This is the same thing they applied for last year. Project has not met completion. Their overhead expenses are on the higher side. So they are very proactive in applying for grants and additional funding. Unfortunately, they're not very successful in a lot of their grant applications, and they do have some other applications pending as noted on the recommendation here, just over $5,000 that they have not heard back yet. If they only get partial funding, they would replace as many grips and hangers as they could with funding that they receive. And then again, keep continuing with fundraising opportunities. The Weberville Community Club, they have 2 furnaces at the hall that have met their lifespan. You can't get parts for them anymore, so they'd have to be replaced. They've had issues in the past with it, of course, during the winter months when they are needed. They are requesting $10,000 towards their project. Next one, Dixonville Life Egg Society is looking to repair a water line break and replace water and sewer lines at the community hall. It's a top priority for them as they have to limit the size of the events they are currently hosting at the hall. If they have too many people, they're running into issues. So, and it is a pretty busy hall, I do believe. Brenda can probably confirm on that one. And they have lots of rentals this year as well. And if partial funding is received, they would need to utilize their operating funds to complete the repairs, and then they'll be up short on their operating repairs. The Battle River Egg Society is asking for the max allowed for outside of our region or outside of our boundaries, $12,500, to put a peaked roof over the pavilion. It's currently leaking and starting to cause some damage. They as well, if received partial funding, would have to continue fundraising to complete the project. Riverside Bible Camp would like to do repairs and maintenance on the fourplex building that houses the director and other staff during the camp season. So there's a new roof and cleaning out the water well that they would like to do. And that is, yes, $20,000 for that. Lac Cardinal is looking to repair their sewer system and re-gravel their parking lot. They're asking for $11,000. They have been experiencing issues with their sewer discharge system for a number of years. In order to investigate and repair, they'll have to hire equipment and operators to trench the line and conduct repairs and replacements. So this is a guess of what's happening outlined in their application. So they're asking for $11,000. I have a note here saying they have not provided a detailed list of items and services donated. We do have that now. So it is strictly labor and equipment that is being donated. Peace Playland is looking to purchase new unaffixed assets for the ongoing renovations at the center. So this is furniture, play sets, area rugs, things that aren't permanently fixed to the facility itself. It's a play center, so the items are used quite frequently and quite aggressively by kids. So it's an ongoing plan to continue replacing the items that need to be replaced when you have a center such as theirs. And they are asking for $10,850, so under what is the max allowed through the program. Any questions on their applications? I got them here.
So, my thought is, and part of not the whole decision, but some of these that have never applied before, or some of them will have multiple, successful multiple times. We start with like the Battle Egg Society.
According to my records that I have, no, I have not seen that they've received
so
CCAP funds.
They've never applied or never been successful if they haven't applied. But then we're, the rest is piece of playland, we just give them $1,000 today. Or from the ask, I mean, that's, kind of got. Kind of go two different directions there.
Yeah.
It's just lots of a little bit about this.
When I was looking at it, too, I was kind of what ran in my mind too, like how do we make it fair? Some of them get multiple years granted, not every single year, but how do you spread it out and be fair to every?
There is
Hard.
this little recap here that talks about the project and like, is there severe, concern or detriment to the facility operations, that kind of thing. So this is just my initial assessment of that.
Yeah. That's really good information.
And I would say that the number of applications we received this year is on average of what we normally receive. I know there's some other years where we've had, 10 or more.
Yeah.
I would say 7 is about average.
Should we fund the holes? Is it just expenses or is it capital too?
No, it's intended to be operational expenses. There is a repairs and maintenance aspect of that, and that's probably the most gray area left to interpretation.
Right,
That's
so
that we have.
buying new furnaces would not probably qualify.
No,
I mean, new furnaces are pretty important to have, right?
the, like, a B&E bill, for example, for them to come tell you that the furnaces are toast, that would be eligible, right? Or if it's parts to get them back together, when you start replacing equipment required for your building altogether, that tends to flow through the balance sheet.
Yeah, that's, kind of what I thought, so I would think that new furnaces for the whole would be, in the top priority, but
He said, last winter when it was so cold there, she was sitting there with the ovens on and trying to keep everything, thawed out,
right,
so,
Yeah, they went out a couple of times, Pam said.
yeah.
The eligible funding is 94,350.
That's the eligible amount of the
For grant.
requests. Yeah, you guys have
We have
50,000 to divvy out.
Oh, 50.
Yeah.
so they want 10. And number of bags, said he wants 12 and a half, that's half of it there now, 22, if we let that road. Seems to be like cardinal. Maybe we tried multiple times and only been successful 10 years ago.
Fortunately, I put the years that they received funds. I didn't put all the years that they've applied, which I can go look up if you want.
It just seems to be like, I remember them applying repeatedly, but maybe not every year, but.
I don't remember them applying last year.
Just since they asked for $94,000,
That
we have
would be-
50, what if we offered them each half what they asked for? Will they be able to do their contract?
Well, so we've always had that discussion, right? So if we only give them partial funding, does that mean the project doesn't go ahead? And then they just sit on the money? Or
I personally would advise not partially funding a project unless they can really get some fundraising going.
Well, because there was like the Dixonville riding arena, right? Like where we partially funded and then it just sat there and paid forever, right?
Yeah, and so they did what they could with the money that they got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's a black card.
It's a human calculator right there.
Professional bean counter.
Yeah.
here.
Get your advocates up.
50-50. If you want to do the math, what else would you suggested?
But they said that they're gonna use it for.
Right now they're replacing, what they can with what they have. If the grip or a hanger, I don't know exactly which is which. If there's usable parts on one and another one needs to be fixed, they'll take something that has,
Yeah. Instead of just adjust.
Good, yeah.
Right? So-
Yeah.
Then.
yeah, some of these projects are a little tricky where, you know, if you give them partial funding, they can probably swing it, whereas if you give them partial funding for one big detrimental thing that's happening, then it might be a little bit trickier.
I think like the keep up the halls and, you know, like this, say like the furnace and that, sewer system are more important to get, you know, to keep them going and, you know, keep them up than some of the other ones, so that's where I'd be putting my.
But I think the Black Cornell Hall, which is probably where the group is worked out, they just started getting hall board funding, right? Yes. Yeah, like it hasn't been very long.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes. Please do.
So I was thinking, Weberville for their furnaces, give them the full amount, 10,000. Life Ag Society, the full amount for their water and sewer thing, so that's 10,000. Battle River, their full amount, 12,500. Riverside Bible Camp, 10,000. They'll be able to do some of the stuff they need to do. And then Lac Cardinal, 70, the balance 7,500. They'll be able to do some stuff as well. Like they have not quite half of what they need, I guess, but that's my suggestion.
So that kind of aligns what I was thinking. So the ski club. You said 10?
She didn't have any.
Oh, I didn't mention the ski club, but
So 10?
if you want to take
Dixie Road.
from Riverside and Lac Cardinal.
I'd like to see Lac Cornell get their full amount. They haven't gotten anything since 2015.
Yeah.
And then do the
Who's
balance
just putting it on
on.
the screen there so I can follow?
I want to say they actually haven't applied previously. Like I want to say that was probably the only time they applied until now.
And then I do Dixon Bill was the balance.
Okay, yeah.
Just flip Dixonville and.
So Riverdale gets 10. Furnaces.
I don't remember seeing Battle River very often either.
No, she didn't say anything about the ski club.
I don't think Battle River has applied in the past
No.
for
So
CCAP
who's
anyways.
doing the math? Teresa's wondering what's left over there.
We go out.
43,500.
Well, we gotta take 10,000 off of the ski club. And then the balance. Right? So 10,
So you wanted 10 Weberville, 10 Dixonville, 12,500 for Battle River, 11 for Lac Cardinal. And then the balance for Riverside? Is that,
no, 'cause that doesn't add up.
Should be 60.
Yeah, we gotta take 10,000 off of the ski club, cause it was 10,000 for Weberville. The full for Lac Cornell, the full for Battle River, and then the balance to the Egg Lakes. So if we take. For, Josh, help me out here, I'm trying to add.
10, 20, 27.5, 28,
They're over by $1,000.
if you went over by $1,000, take $1,000 off something.
Right there. You've got 10.
Yeah, that should be good. But you still have 10 on the ski hill, and that wasn't supposed to be there.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That was,
I'd
where?
like to leave them the cardinal to the 11 because they didn't apply since 2015.
So if we put 11.5 on Battle
Yes,
and then 11 to Locker Mill, then they both get.
yes. That'd be my.
So who gets that other 10?
There is no other 10. There is no other.
Yeah, there's. I'm missing
Yeah, there's
10.
10,
Oh,
10, 20.
Oh, that looks pretty close.
Well, I thought we were getting
Oh.
the other side.
Yeah, I think she had 10 unallocated in her motion there originally, yes, so.
So 10 for the ski club.
Why not 5 and 5? for
or what if
the
we
other
did 5 for the ski club, 5 for Peace Whalen?
Well, the ski club was flexible. They said you can adjust the project, to whatever we give them, so
Yeah, if we did 5 grand in the ski club, 5 grand for Whalen.
nothing to the Bible campaign.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had anything since 2020.
No.
Big chunk there.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I was thinking just 5 to just bring the load a little bit,
Yeah. Yes.
but then it doesn't stretch as far either, right? So,
No, but does that matter? Okay, put 5 in the keeper.
I just feel like if the ski club can flex with 5,000, I mean, 5,000 will buy a lot of rugs and furniture for the
Yeah.
playground too, right?
And backspace, them out of there, and put in that Peace Playland,
I mean,
then we're showing
that's a lot of rugs.
some support to
Yeah.
our urban.
The last 4 years, the ski club got $43,000.
Yeah,
Well, in Riverside, you get a pretty big chunk at one point, right, when they did toilets and stuff.
Yeah, 15 or 20.
It's been there for a long
I think
time.
I was blending them with Camp Artifact.
But it was like for toilets or something, wasn't it? Bathrooms or something?
Cabin.
It was cabin.
what does everybody think of that?
Where are you at now?
You want to share your screen, Mrs. Tucker? Brenda can see it.
Just get confused with which one to read it.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. Any further discussion, otherwise a good motion to, you know, to receive the CCAP program and allow those homes. Councillor Chuck makes that motion. Last chance to implement, all in favor? Carried.
You look like one of the hardest jobs.
Okay, the next item was an addition. Item B was Alberta Day expression of interest application, so this is one where we had a free movie in running last year, I think, or what was it?
Concert and pop singers.
The concert, yeah, that's what it was. So, you know, $2 million deficit for something that costs somebody to this.
I have a copy of it. Josh, do you have a copy of it? Do you have a copy of it? Of the recommendation?
I do not, it's in the agenda, I'm just.
Okay.
Hold on here.
There you go.
Gerhard Ford was the fund us, so I thought he was gonna speak.
I didn't even think to print it off. I was thinking-
As the other. So there is a write-up for you guys there. There is, I believe, grant funding available that we'd have to find something and apply for. But full disclosure, for both Trinity and I, this is a terrible weekend. I'm never here that weekend, and I think Trinity has an annual event as well, so.
I'll make that motion.
Pretty hard to do if we don't have.
So. So finally, I think that meeting, and that what is. Her expression. Of what it is in the fall, right?
Yeah, it's,
August is.
yeah.
August 29th to December, September 1st, so. No interest for your community development, I mean, you have no ideas.
that's. I can always come up with ideas, I'm just not available. I have my annual family gathering that weekend is what usually happens.
And that's kind of the problem with that, like, that's kind of the last
Weekend.
weekend that everybody
kids go
tries
back
to
to
camp
school.
or do something before school starts, so it's. The idea is good, it's just people are homesteading plans already.
I guess if we continue to do this in the future, we should reach out to some organizations and. I mean, we could apply for the funding on their behalf. They run it, right? You guys don't have to worry about, do the application.
I don't think the application is restricted to us, though, they're like, I think.
No, it's
probably
other
access
community groups as well.
Somebody could do it as well, yeah.
So there's not really a municipality.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was tough too, because like the attendance wasn't. Like, I mean, there was only like 7 county people there, right? So that's tough.
Roughly with that many.
There's quite a few people.
Yeah, there's lots of people, it's just not, there's,
55.
Tell the towns there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I won't say much because I don't know what I'm doing that weekend either, and then it's nice to have community spirit and do things, you know, whether it's running ponds or new cycles or whatever you do, but there's nobody to organize it, nobody to attend.
Did we share that on Facebook? Did you apply or?
Yeah. I'm sure the government of Alberta probably made a social media post that I can share on our page.
Okay,
We can know that.
Not acknowledge the report except for information, all in favor, carried. Thanks, Trina, I think you're free to go. Here comes some board reports. Any verbal ones to submit? No, we'll just get a motion to acknowledge receipt of the board reports. Here comes from Malabisky, all in favor?
I
Carried.
didn't put one in because I don't have. Didn't do it.
That season done.
That season's not.
Info package, is it for your review, what addition to it? No comments coming out of it, get a motion to accept the package, Councillor Reese, all in favor, carried. Open mic, Dan,
Yeah, for the 4 organizations that have no charge water services, so that they just pay $25 and then turn it on and then.
Nope, they pay nothing for the county to turn their balance.
Okay.
They still pay for usage. Yeah, they pay the water bill.
you still get a bill when they.
But they don't have to, because as a resident, if you need your water shut off, you can't shut it on. That's charging you $5. And then you can't turn it back on.
Oh, okay, but they pay the water.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
That was it.
I must have taken good notes and.
I asked some questions.
Okay, decisions on delegations, so I guess the one from Crown. They're already big what they want it, but I guess we give them a letter that we support their boundary expansion and then the one from the resident complaining about the dust west of the West Fraser Mill. I think that was dealt with already. We don't have to make any motions out of that. It's kind of a wait and see now. If We're gonna be-
No, this one.
Oh, to, St. Cloud. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Decker, all in favor? Carried. And with that, I think we're ready to move in the camera. That's the 5 items there, so. Take us right till 8:10.
You're welcome for filling the agenda.
Teresa, just leave your computer on the Zoom in case we have to share anything, friend. Or not on the Zoom, but on the screen in case we have to share it.
Okay, I had to give you all individual.
You're